What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 1L Chapter 1 Family members, who understands, please collect it, please send flowers. The first half of the Grand Line, the giant island of Omet. The Kingdom of Ogunjana. Roy, who had just finished handling the old king's funeral affairs, looked tired. Sitting on the throne, he fell into silence. Ogunjana Roy. This is his current name, which is the same as his name before time travel. It's just that in front of it, there is an extra royal surname of Ogunjana. 2 months ago, this huge island kingdom welcomed envoys from the two countries. After receiving a warm reception from the old King Limit, the envoys of the two countries proposed an exciting cooperation. That is, to jointly form an expedition team to mine and collect various precious minerals and materials on a nearby island called Oskarma. As for why the Three Kingdoms team is needed, it is because there are a large number of ferocious beasts on that island. A large number of elite soldiers are needed to clean up and sweep. There are not only a large number of gold mines, silver mines, rare and unique iron ore materials on that island, but also various rich resources. Among them, there are several mineral resources that the Ogunjana Kingdom urgently needs today. So after thinking about it for a day, the old king agreed. Because just when the old King Limit was hesitant, the envoys from the two countries revealed something that really moved his heart. That is the devil fruit, which will cause you to be cursed by the sea and unable to touch the seawater if you eat it. After the three parties reached an agreement, the old King Limit sent 20,000 elite soldiers to the sea, led by the Admiral Army. However, what the old king did not expect was that the real purpose of these two kingdoms was to design to destroy the Okugana Kingdom. He wants to devour the Ogunjana Kingdom and take it as his own. As a result, Ogunjana's army was ambushed by the designs of the two kingdoms, luring the brutal beasts on the island to attack. As a result, 20,000 elite soldiers suffered heavy casualties, and only 3,000 soldiers fled. In the next 2 months, the two kingdoms used various methods to assassinate royal members. From time to time, large armies attacked the Oguyana Kingdom, with 100,000 coalition troops pressing down on the border. Taking advantage of the sudden death of the old king, the deaths of royal family members and many ministers and generals, the entire kingdom was in turmoil and the morale of the military was unstable. The original loss of 17,000 elite soldiers was reduced to more than 60,000 soldiers. The leaderless Ogunjana Kingdom was defeated steadily. Under the rule of the Ogunjana Kingdom, almost all the towns and villages on the three islands have been occupied by the enemy. Now, there are only about 15,000 soldiers left in the Ogunjana Kingdom. The most terrible thing is, according to reports from people in the intelligence department. Just 2 days ago, a big pirate from the New World, the Great Uzumaki Pirates, also set their sights on the Okugana Kingdom. If the other party is an ordinary big pirate, it doesn't matter. But this guy has an awesome dad. The strongest man in the world, the godson of 4 emperors Whitebeard. The Kingdom of Maris and the Kingdom of Guder are eyeing the huge island territory of the Ogunjana Kingdom and its extremely rich island resources. And Skuyard, the captain of the Great Uzumaki Pirates, just wants to make a fortune before returning to the New World. By the way, I wanted to satisfy my cruel pirate desires, and then I set my sights on the Ogunjana Kingdom. Fuck. Damn Whitebeard. Take all the bad guys. When he thought that not only were these two enemy countries coveting his kingdom, but that idiot Skuyard was also eyeing his kingdom. Roy just yelled. With Whitebeard's prestige and strength, the pirate group under his banner would be so arrogant and domineering with such a huge backer. Now, they are even more focused on his kingdom. He even uttered wild words, giving him 3 days, if he didn't offer him 1 billion belly, 100 beauties, and 1,000 barrels of rum by then. We must coordinate the two kingdoms to destroy the Ogunjana Kingdom. The Aogu Kingdom is still too weak. Taking a few deep breaths, Roy calmed down. Now, we have to think carefully about how to break the situation. Otherwise, the old king will be his fate. Ding! The super god summoning system is activated. Ding! We have detected the summoner's current crisis of national annihilation, and hereby distribute 10,000 source coins to help the summoner get out of danger. Suddenly, Roy heard a cold sound in his head. Immediately afterwards, Roy's sad face suddenly became wonderful. Stunned, delighted, ecstatically exhilarated, twisted? All of them. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Great, Cars, Paloma, and Skuyard, you are dead. While laughing wildly, Roy's eyes flickered with a cold light. Wild laughter filled the entire hall and spread outside. The group of soldiers guarding outside all looked at each other. I thought to myself, could it be that the little king was so oppressed that he went crazy? Even at this moment, several ministers standing in the hall looked at Roy, who suddenly laughed wildly with some concern. I wonder if this little king who has just ascended the throne cannot bear the pressure and has some mental problems. Your Majesty the King, are you okay? The political minister asked with worry in his voice. The country can hold on for the time being. As long as we hand over the heavenly gold to the celestial dragons, we will immediately become a member of the world government and receive Marine's protection. At this time, the Minister of Finance stood up to calm the crowd. Yes, given the current dangerous situation in the Ogunjana kingdom, the old king was on his deathbed. After discussing with many ministers, we made this difficult choice. No. Withdraw the heavenly gold against the world government. From now on, the world government and celestial dragons will still be the mortal enemies of the Ogunjana kingdom. This king is responsible for the kingdom's crisis. Roy's wild laughter stopped, and Roy's face looked terrifyingly calm. The ministers stopped their actions with calm expressions. Your Majesty the King, now the kingdom is in danger. If we don't ask the world government for help, we... Hearing this, all the ministers looked shocked and tried to persuade Roy. Since ancient times, the kingdom of Ogunjana has had some enmity with the world government. They wouldn't want to do it if they didn't have to. But given the current situation, if we don't do that, the Okugana kingdom will be destroyed. Okay. I have made my decision and this matter is not allowed to be mentioned again. The parliament is over, please step down. However, Roy scolded him with an unhappy expression. Yes. The ministers were speechless. After sighing, they slowly exited the king's hall. As the door of the hall closed, only then did Roy's stern face relax. He had a face that was extremely handsome, but a little childish, just a little bit worse than the gentleman of the readers. At this time, I was completely exhausted and flushed with excitement. System. I want to summon. Chapter 2 Summoning. Ulquiorra is coming. Please collect it, please send flowers. System. I want to summon. Just now, when the Super God summoning system was activated, some of the system's usage knowledge had already been transferred to his mind. After consuming the original coins in the Super God summoning system, you can summon the gods from all over the world. Summon various characters from many universes and worlds, as well as rare treasures, weapons and equipment, and all kinds of weird things. Currently, only 3 levels of summoning pools are open. Bronze, Silver, Gold. A bronze level summon costs 50 source coins, and a silver level summon costs 100 source coins. The gold level consumes 1000 source coins for each summon. In the gold level summoning pool, for every 10 summons, you will get a gold level item or a gold level character. The most important thing is that for the summoned character, Roy can obtain all its talents, 30% of its strength, and the opponent's equipment and weapons. The acquisition of this percentage of strength is permanent. As long as the summoned character keeps getting stronger, he can always benefit from it. That's why Roy suddenly laughed wildly, because the crisis in the Okugana kingdom has been resolved. Ding! Please choose the level of summoning. 10 golden draws directly. Hearing the system prompt, Roy chose the current highest end gold level without hesitation. As Roy finished speaking, Roy's eyes flickered. However, he found that he had arrived in a bright and gorgeous sea of stars, and an extremely huge golden star emerged. Endless brilliance emerged on the star, and then golden streams of light flew out. Here is the summoning space that belongs to the summoner. Ding! You spent 10,000 source coins to perform the 10 consecutive golden summons. You obtained the following summons. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Shinigami, Sealed State. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the Ninjutsu, Fire Style Great Fireball Technique. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the virtual, Jillian Manos Grande, *5. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the 4th Hado, White Thunder. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the character, the 4th Espada, Ulquiorra Cipher. Ding! Congratulations on summoning, Normal Void, * 2000. Ding! Congratulations on summoning, Giant Void, * 500. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the Small World, Virtual World. Ding! Congratulations on summoning, Powerful Illusion, * 1000. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Nami Clothing, Original Lace T-shaped. Ding! You have obtained the 4th Espada, Ulquiorra Cipher, Jillian. 30% of the strength, natural abilities, and their equipment weapons. Given that your physique is ordinary, a large amount of Reiatsu can be converted into a training method to instantly strengthen and improve you in all aspects. As the system prompts sounded, Roy felt a sour feeling well up all over his body, including his soul. Just like a massage, there is no so-called severe pain of marrow washing or defecation of the body's skin. After a while, when Roy woke up, he just raised his hand and squeezed his fist lightly. The strong wind in his hand stirred and contracted, and made a mournful roar. Is this considered to be crushing the air with your bare hands? Good guy. It is indeed the combined power of a large amount of Reiatsu's baptism and some of Ulquiorra's strength. It's easy to compress air and burst it. This wave of golden 10 consecutive summons is really too rich. Make money with blood. Not only did he summon the extremely powerful Ulquiorra, but he also gained part of the opponent's strength and talent. And there are 5 Jillian Manos Grande, and more than 3,500 low-level voids. Even, I got a small world. Judging from the name, it probably means that the world where virtual people live is gone. His consciousness exited the summoning space, and Roy couldn't wait to summon Ulquiorra into the real world. A thought. In the center of the hall, a space-time Uzumaki appeared. This is the summoning door, and all summoned characters will come out from here. Ulquiorra Cipher, see His Majesty the King. Summoning characters brings an initial favorability of 60 points and a full loyalty of 100 points. Thus, Ulquiorra emerged from the summoning door. He immediately faced Roy and knelt down on one knee without hesitation to show his loyalty. Well, no gifts. Roy, who was sitting on the throne, nodded with satisfaction. Roy liked this 4th Espada very much in his previous life. Now the other party appeared in front of him and became a summoned figure under his command. Roy found that his heart was extremely calm, with no enthusiasm or affection at all. Of course, if it's Sister Bei, or Wama, Giant X Rangaku, Yoruichi, these girls. Roy said he still liked it very much. Thank you, Your Majesty the King. Hearing Roy's voice, Ulquiorra's expression did not change at all. He stood up with an indifferent expression, then walked a few steps and stood in the middle of the hall, walking up to the side of the red carpet. Roy, on the other hand, clicked on Ulquiorra's panel properties. Open black lens bracket Ulquiorra Cipher close black lens bracket level. Platinum level, lower level. Innate abilities. Wang Shu's Flash, High-Speed Regeneration, Black Sero, Steel Skin, Ring Turn, Shared Vision, Detection Nerve, Black Cavity, Negation Bandit, Reiatsu. Race. Void, Arrancar Equipment, Zanpakuto Black Winged Demon. Loyalty. 100. Die Loyal Max, Comprehensive Evaluation. The powerful top-class Manos Grande has the highest combat power in this world. Go crazy. The whole world will tremble beneath your feet. It's platinum level. Chapter 3. The king starts with 4 twos, powerful attributes. Please give me flowers. Please give me a review vote. Ulquiorra is actually platinum. Roy's deep and charming eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a smile. In the setting of the system, it is also a level in many universes. The strength levels are divided into bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, legend, and epic level. This is the level Roy knows so far. I have to say that Ulquiorra is really powerful. It is very likely that the summoned character has been, slightly, strengthened because of the super god summoning system. After all, these summoned characters will be slightly improved, a little bit, by the system, as well as perfected. For example, if a finger is broken, after summoning it, it will be restored to its original state. Of course, if you have natural baldness or something like that, the system won't care about that. Shaking his head slightly, Roy put aside the image of a braised egg in a cloak that suddenly appeared in his mind. Let's take a look at the information panels of those summoned objects to see how powerful they are. Especially that virtual world. Open black lens bracket, sealed state, close black lens bracket. Quality: silver type. Horcrux, weapon effect. Infusing it with Reiatsu, spirit, and faith will turn it into a soul-cutting sword. Rating: a starting tool with endless possibilities. Open black lens bracket, Jillian, close black lens bracket level. Silver, intermediate. Talents: Sero, black tone, negation bandit. Race: Manos Grande, loyalty 100, max, comprehensive evaluation. A huge monster without independent consciousness will start the road of evolution after giving birth to individual consciousness. Roy simply didn't bother to look at the other summons. Except for Xiao Wu and Jillian, the remaining giant voids, powerful voids, and ordinary voids are all cannon fodder. But when I glanced at it, I saw that it belonged to Nami's original black T-shaped lace dress. Roy couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. How can this dog system even draw such outrageous things? Roy silently clicked on the last summon. Small virtual world. Open black lens bracket, virtual world, close black lens bracket, quality: platinum, type: space world. Effect: exists in a world outside reality. The stronger the owner of the virtual world is, how big the real territory is, and how big the virtual world is. Comment: boy, with the virtual world, you can build a crystal palace no matter how big it is. Da Lu. 6. After reading the last sentence, Roy raised the corners of his mouth slightly and chuckled. At the same time, I was also shocked by the potential shown by the virtual world. Judging from the attributes displayed on the panel, this virtual world is completely a world that will grow and evolve automatically. In particular, it can be used to allow the thousands of hollows summoned to enter and survive. This will not disturb citizens in the real world. If Roy takes control of the whole world, it will be a worldwide virtual world. As the controller of the virtual world, Roy can open the door wherever he wants. It's said to be a virtual world, but it's actually an upgraded version of Hueco Mundo, right? In the end, Roy felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. With the thought, open your own panel properties. Open black lens bracket, Oganjana Roy, close black lens bracket level. Gold level, intermediate, innate ability. Summoning system supreme. Hollow world. Wangshu's flash, Reiatsu, high-speed regeneration, black Sero, steel skin, Hibiki. Great fireball technique, Hado number 4 white thunder, open to see all. Race: human, Arrancar Manos Grande. Trait: space. Zanpakuto black winged demon, sealed state, Nami's original black lace T-shaped. Equipment: King's sword, source currency. 0 summoned familiars. Ulquiorra cipher, Jillian. Open to see all. Comprehensive evaluation. As a monarch of a country who has just emerged, it's time to make the world tremble because of you. The strength of the golden intermediate realm. This is just 30% of the strength provided by Ulquiorra. The remaining Jillian and low-level Shu Zi became the nourishment for refining his body. If he continues to summon him with such efforts, Roy doesn't even know how powerful he is. Huh? Summoning system supreme? Suddenly, Roy was stunned. I saw that the panel properties are at the forefront, and there are also eye-catching square brackets to enclose the ability. I figured it out after looking carefully. It turns out that this is his own exclusive innate ability, which can be used to summon all things in the universe. And it also includes the ability to communicate with summoned characters, teleport over unlimited distances, heal, and many other abilities. For this reason, Roy could only sigh. NB, Your Majesty the King, there are several abnormal souls that have broken into the palace. Suddenly, in the main hall, Ulquiorra standing aside suddenly spoke. He stood upright and looked flatly at the throne. There was a hint of asking for instructions in his eyes. As Ulquiorra, who has just arrived in this world, she is planning to clear the obstacles for His Majesty the King. Serve His Majesty the King. The royal palace has reached its highest level of security. Can anyone still break into it? After hearing Ulquiorra's prompt, Roy immediately released his Reiatsu consciousness. It was also a probing nerve. After a few seconds, a picture of several wisps of fire burning in his mind appeared in Roy's mind. This flame is naturally the life energy and soul power of human beings. There were even more than 20 dead white soul flames at the scene. Surprisingly, they are the guards guarding the treasure house. However, it seems that they have all been killed. Oh, you actually lurked in the kingdom's treasure house? In an instant, Roy's mood turned gloomy. He already understood at this moment that this sudden attack by the kingdom of Maris and the kingdom of Gudar was definitely not as simple as it seemed. It was at this moment that the system's voice suddenly sounded. Ding! Trigger the plot and release the task 1. There is still afterglow in the Sunset Kingdom. As one of the most powerful countries 800 years ago, the Oganjana Kingdom has long had a feud with the world government. The CP7 organization is eyeing your kingdom, trying to plot national treasures and crush the world government's conspiracy. Annihilate all world government agents. Mission reward: 2,000 source coins, Jillian 10. Ding! Mission 2. The Horn of Destruction of the Empire. The two kingdoms, ignorant of life and death, were so ambitious that they showed their claws towards their former eldest brother, intending to annex Ogu and become stronger. Destroy the two kingdom legions and the great Uzumaki pirates, and destroy them all. Reward: 3,000 source coins, Water Demon Basha. Chapter 4 Jana X, CP7 Feed S plot. Well, did the Oganjana Kingdom have a grudge against the world government in ancient times? And it seems that it is still a very powerful country? After reading the tasks issued by the system, Roy opened his mouth. He didn't even know that the kingdom he had just taken power had such a big background. But think about it, he is now the 9th Oganjana, the 9th king. Before that, there had been a great turmoil in this kingdom. The former kingdom of Oganjana was not called this name, but Ogunfet Street Ranafati. The abbreviation, the Kingdom of Ogu. Later, after experiencing a major turmoil, the name was changed. It seems that I inherited a kingdom that is not very simple. Looking at the two ancient golden tongue statues standing beside the load-bearing pillars in the main hall, Roy let out a long sigh of relief. Forget it, no matter how much you have a grudge against the world government, no matter how simple it is. The Oganjana Kingdom is just something in this world. Water Demon Basha? This guy doesn't seem to be very powerful. Seeing the second mission, the final reward is the Water Demon Basha from Fang Long's adventure. Roy's expression became confused. After all, in the original work, Basha, the water demon who was sealed by the 8 immortals in ancient times, was actually able to be beaten away by an ordinary human mage. It's really a bit too outrageous, although it is the reason why the water demon Basha is afraid of the sealing spell and is afraid of being sealed again. However, its combat performance in the original work is really stretched to the extreme. Basha, who exerted all his strength, only accumulated his strength and set off a tsunami that was more than 10 meters high. Isn't the Basha summoned by then just a silver level? It had been sealed for thousands of years, and it was tragically cut off in the end. However, it's pretty good that the other party can control the power of the global ocean at will. At least in this ocean-dominated world, Basha must be very powerful if he can control the seawater to deal with ability users. Thinking of this, Roy stopped thinking about it. Whether it is a cat or a tiger, first complete the task and then take it out for a walk. Ulquiorra. After gathering his thoughts, Roy looked at Ulquiorra, who was standing respectfully under the steps of the throne. Go ahead and kill all those guys. This is the royal medal token. From now on, you are the commander of the Oganjana Royal Guards Corps. After that, Roy took out a medal and threw it to Ulquiorra. As for the 100,000 coalition troops of the two kingdoms, and the great pirate Skuyard, we will destroy them later. Yes, I am willing to serve you, your majesty the king. He lifted it up to catch the medal, glanced at it and pinned it to the clothes on his chest. Ulquiorra saluted respectfully, turned and left the hall. You are the commander of the legion. Then the door of the king's palace was pushed open by Ryotsu, when Ulquiorra stepped out of the threshold. The expressions of the group of guards guarding the door suddenly changed. Just as he was about to scold and start asking alertly, he saw the medal pinned to Ulquiorra's chest. For an instant, all 8 guards looked shocked, and then immediately saluted respectfully. This is the metal status symbol of the Legion commander who died not long ago. No one can explain to them. Just look at Ulquiorra walking out of the hall calmly, and His Majesty the King is still sitting on the throne. The 8 guards immediately understood the situation. With a slight nod, Ulquiorra ignored them and relied on the memories transmitted to him by Roy using his summoner ability. Putting his hands in his pockets, he walked towards the kingdom's treasure house with an indifferent expression. On the other side, there is a tall, spacious, bright, magnificently decorated passageway with a red carpet on the floor. More than 40 corpses lay tragically and bloody in the corridor. These soldiers in armor are the heavy troops guarding the king's treasury. Although they are considered first-class elites in the army, they face the Executioner CP7 agent organization from the world government. It seems particularly weak. Tisk. These stupid soldiers are coming one after another. Is this the third wave? In the long corridor, more than 20 guardsmen appeared again and arrived with support, intercepting them in front of the treasure house gate. One of the CP7 members transformed into a huge black wolf nearly 4 meters tall and said with a ferocious smile. The tone was full of disdain and contempt for the fighting power of the Oganjana kingdom. They are just a group of ordinary soldiers who have received physical training. What qualifications could he have to compete with them, who had endured all the hardships, practiced Marine 6 styles, and even eaten devil fruit? Deal with them quickly, get the things and leave immediately. In the shadow of the corridor, a muscular figure spoke coldly. The words are full of irresistible majesty. The other 7 CP7 members who heard this voice were all frightened. They knew that the boss was starting to get a little impatient. He, it looks like the game is over. A middle-aged red-haired man holding a dagger sneered, his eyes flashing coldly. You'd better move quickly, otherwise the boss will be angry and the consequences will be serious. The person who said this was a man with gray hair parted in the middle. And he is also a Zone Gray Rooster fruit user. Several CP7 agents stopped smiling. Indeed, if the boss is angry, their little life will not be easy. What's more serious is that they are afraid of punishment from above. The Imperial Guards all looked at the CP7 agents in front of them with anger and fear. And a trace of despair flashed in his eyes. They definitely can't compete with this group of monsters. And it was at this moment that the CP7 agents were preparing to launch a massacre attack. In the darkness at the end of the corridor, the sound of unhurried footsteps suddenly came. In addition, it was accompanied by a terrifying sense of oppression that frightened everyone present. The kind of painful wailing that comes from the depths of the soul and makes people feel desperate and the soul is torn apart. In an instant, the CP7 captain, who was leaning on the decorative column on the wall, became serious and his muscles tightened. It was as if a terrifying demon was approaching them. Chapter 5 Take Action. Horrible Ryotsu crushed CP7 to death. Please vote for flower evaluation. Finally, the footsteps were getting closer and louder in the silent corridor where both sides were quiet at this time. The white demon wearing a white Suya Palace uniform is about 1.7 meters tall, with pale skin and a thin figure. A young man with a white bone helmet and horn-like mask on half of his head, green eyes, and a green tear trail under each eye, appeared in front of everyone. The person who came was unexpectedly Ulquiorra Cypher, who was ordered to destroy CP7. That is, Bayes, the commander of the third wave of guards who supported the king's treasury, spotted the medal pinned to Ulquiorra's chest with his sharp eyes. His face suddenly lit up with joy. Although I don't know who the young-looking boy in front of me is. But just based on the terrifying aura that the other party brought when he appeared, Bayes knew that they might be saved. The kingdom's treasury was also defended. Finally, you have a more than simple role? The CP7 Black Wolf ability user opened his bloody mouth, saliva dripping from the sharp and ferocious fangs. Lifting the wolf claws, 5 steel claws popped out with a crack sound. The aura is quite intimidating. You're just a little devil. Go to hell. When Moss, the user with the Black Wolf fruit ability, saw Ulquiorra, he looked like a young man of only 18 or 20 years old. He immediately cursed secretly. His aura was quite intimidating, but it was probably not just the effect of some devil fruit ability. Such a young boy, even today's 4 Emperors Shanks, was only just starting to make a name for himself when he was this age. What's more, not everyone has the potential of 4 Emperor's Shanks. How strong can a little kid with pale skin and thin skin be? Razor. Razor Flying Claw. After quickly judging the strength gap between the two sides, Moss immediately launched an attack. The strength of the leg muscles exploded, and the figure disappeared in a flash, and a tearing afterimage passed by. Immediately afterwards, several blue slashing waves shot out. Another harsh scratching sound erupted in the air, and along with the sound of the air being torn apart, a black figure suddenly appeared behind Ulquiorra. Moss moves at a faster speed than the Tempest Kick chop wave he sends out. There's nowhere to escape, kid. Die. Moss, who smiled ferociously and evilly, raised his wolf claws glowing with cold light and slashed towards Ulquiorra's neck and head. Tempest Kick chop waves came in front and back, and then the person with his ability delivered a fatal blow. The kid in front of me is dead. And that was the moment when Baius, the commander of the Praetorian Guards, was in despair, and the other CP7 agents could look on in amusement. Ulquiorra was about to be cut into several pieces. Boom! An unparalleled terrifying pressure has descended. The dark green Ryotsu suddenly erupted, like an endless ocean suddenly appearing on the dome, covering everyone. Thump! Moss was directly crushed to the ground by this terrifying Ryotsu that penetrated deep into his soul and was about to crush his soul into powder. Thump thump! One after another, not only Moss, but all the remaining CP7 agents who had not taken action against Ulquiorra were also suppressed by this terrifying Ryotsu. Only the Imperial Guards of the Oganjana Kingdom were not suppressed by Ryotsu. But at this time, the Imperial Guards all had expressions of shock and horror on their faces, with bulging eyes, wide mouths, and sweat dripping from their foreheads. Seeing the CP7 agents who couldn't bear it and fell to the ground after being crushed by Ryotsu, they were all stunned and shocked. Bah! Conqueror's Haki. Beside the corner, Captain CP7, who had always acted like a cold boss, also knelt on the ground. As the increasingly heavy Ryotsu descended, all CP7 agents lay prone on the floor. The leader, Captain CP7, was horrified to the extreme. His whole body was suppressed by this terrifying force, not only in physical pain. Even his soul felt bursts of tearing pain, and Captain CP7 was no longer as cold as before. He looked at Ulquiorra with a horrified and painful expression. Why? In the Oganjana Kingdom, does a guy like you exist? Owner of Conqueror's Haki. Conqueror's Haki? After Ulquiorra thought for a moment, she did not open her mouth to refute or correct him. The person in front of him mistakenly thought that the Ryotsu he released was the Conqueror's Haki, he said. He was just a dying man, and Ulquiorra didn't bother to explain to him. A mere human being, how dare you offend His Majesty the King's palace, perish with your ignorance. Slowly walking up to Captain CP7, Ulquiorra looked down at Captain CP7 who was lying on the ground and spoke indifferently. No, I am the captain of the World Government CP organization. You dare to kill me. The World Government will not let you go. Let me go, I promise. Bang! Feeling the terrifying killing intent coming from Ulquiorra, Captain CP7 panicked completely and began to beg for mercy and threaten him in horror. However, before he could finish his words, his eyes suddenly widened. The next moment, his eyes lost their light, his head hit the ground heavily, and he completely lost consciousness. After decades of hard training, he walked on thin ice to complete each task. In the end, he became the captain of CP7 only a few years ago, but now he doesn't even have a chance to take action. It was a terrifying spiritual pressure as heavy as the sea, which directly destroyed his soul. The same goes for the rest of the CP7 agents. All 8 members of CP7 died. Just the terrifying Ryotsu unleashed by Ulquiorra crushed the souls of all these spy killers and agents from the world government, and they died from broken souls. Is it settled like this? In the field, many Imperial Guards stared blankly at the dead CP7 agents. Everyone was dumbfounded, and everyone's expression was the same one of shock and sluggishness. A group of them fought to death, and they fought for a long time without killing anyone. As a result, this new Legion commander killed all these monsters with just his momentum? Chapter 6: The Manos Grande Legion sets off. Please vote for flower evaluation. Seeing all the dead CP7 agents, the Imperial Guards were in a daze for a moment. After coming back to his senses, Baius quickly stepped forward and came to Ulquiorra. He bowed and asked in a very respectful manner, "My lord, who are you?" Although he already had some certain guesses in his mind, Baius still asked respectfully. To avoid misunderstandings, be clear about the identity of the other party so that future matters can be handled more appropriately. By His Majesty the King, Commander of the Praetorian Guards, Ulquiorra Cipher. Facing Baius' respectful inquiry, Ulquiorra remained indifferent, but still explained his identity. "See the Legion Commander." As soon as these words came out, all the Imperial Guards quickly knelt down on one knee and saluted. "Get rid of these people and continue to guard the treasure house." He nodded towards Baius and the guards. After Ulquiorra finished her sentence, she left the place without looking back. He easily killed the CP agents who made other kingdoms fearful. Naturally, Ulquiorra will not stay here any longer, and the remaining matters will be left to these, the Imperial Guards who specialize in guarding the kingdom's treasure trove. "Yes. Lord Ulquiorra." Baius saluted solemnly and watched Ulquiorra's figure disappear at the end of the corridor with eyes full of reverence. It seems that an incredible monster has arrived. And, damn world government, after Ulquiorra left, Baius sighed. Then, his face turned gloomy, and the admiration in his eyes turned into indignant anger. Just because their former army commander was killed by these damn CP agents. Unexpectedly, even the world government got involved in a war. The other side. In the king's palace, Roy sat lazily on the throne. It was also the first time to receive the task completion notification from the system. Ding! Mission 1, the Kingdom of the Setting Sun still has Afterglow, has been completed. Ding! You got 2,000 source coins, Manos Grande Jillian 10. Roy smiled slightly when he heard the system prompt in his mind. As expected of Ulquiorra, she easily killed the spies of the world government simply by relying on her terrifying Ryotsu. As for how Roy knew about Ulquiorra's battle situation, that is, of course, visual sharing. As a summoner, Roy can share the vision of summoned characters at any time. Now that Ulquiorra has killed these little bugs that have penetrated the kingdom, then, it's time to annihilate all those guys on the other end. At the end of the sentence, Roy's eyes suddenly became cold and forbidding. And what Roy is talking about is naturally the 100,000 coalition troops of the two countries, and the big Uzumaki spider pirate. Roy has not forgotten the two countries that waved their flags against Big Brother. As a kingdom that was once the younger brother of the Okugana Kingdom, it has become increasingly ambitious in the past 100 years. And it also joined the world government decades ago and became one of the participating countries. Now, it's time to destroy these two rebels. The same goes for Scard of the Uzumaki spider pirates who took advantage of the situation. He must die and establish an inviolable reputation for the Ogunjana Kingdom. Otherwise, I don't know how many reckless pirate groups will come to cause trouble. As for whether killing Skuyard will attract the hostility and revenge of Four Emperors Whitebeard. As long as he dares to lead the pirate fleet over, then he dares to destroy all the Four Emperors Whitebeard pirates. After all, in the systematic combat power test and evaluation, the Four Emperors pirates who dominate the New World waters are only at the gold level. In this case, do we still need to be wary of Four Emperors Whitebeard's power? If you dare to come, Lousy will smash your head in. It just so happened that if the other party dared to come, Roy would never fantasize about being friends with the other party just because he loved this work in his previous life. No matter how much the other party showed support and love for his godson in the original work, no matter how much his godsons supported Whitebeard, the father was kind and the son was filial. That is just how they treat their own people. What does it have to do with other people and ordinary people? If you really provoke the other party, it is common to destroy the country and massacre the city. You are also eager to eat your souls and become stronger, right? Roy showed a smile that could make thousands of young girls and women look wet. He supported his chin with one hand, and slowly raised his right hand. An illusory scene appeared on the palm of his hand. The scene in the illusory picture is clearly the virtual world he obtained. As for the figures wandering in the virtual world, at a glance, they are the Dark Manos Grande Legion gathered together. If Ulquiorra were to deal with the 100,000 coalition forces and the large Uzumaki spider pirates, it would be a bit overkill. It is more than enough to send this group of more than 3,000 Manos Grande troops, headed by 15 Jillians, into battle. Chapter 7: The Monster Tearing the Sky Apart. Jillian Legion. 1/5. Please vote for flower evaluation. Ogunjana Kingdom, Stia Seaport Town. At this time, the seaport town of Stia was filled with smoke and desolation after the baptism of artillery fire. The huge fleet formed by the 100,000 allied troops of the two countries made the coastal defense forces guarding the seaport town of Stia miserable. Especially now, after the 3 island towns under the kingdom's jurisdiction have been occupied by the enemy. The enemy's fleets continued in a steady stream, charging into the waters of the Ogunjana Kingdom unscrupulously without being blocked at all. Now, the enemy fleet is ready to launch the second wave of attack. Different from the first attack fleet, there were only more than 20 ships. This time the enemy has gathered a large force, with more than 60 ships, hundreds of artillery pieces, and an army of more than 70,000 people. This is the plan to directly attack the seaport town of Stia in one fell swoop, completely enter the kingdom of Ogunjana, and finally encroach on Ogunjana to strengthen itself. Damn it, haven't the reinforcements arrived yet? The general guarding the seaport town, Zachary Dodd, punched the conference table with an angry fist. The picture that appeared in front of him was rows of dozens of surveillance pictures. More than 60 ships gradually moved towards Stia port. Where did these bastards get so many large ships? Looking at the dozens of large ships, Dodd's face showed a look of anger and helplessness. Report to the general. His Majesty the King personally ordered that reinforcements have been dispatched to the scene. Let us be calm and do not act rashly. At this time, a messenger came to Dodd to report. What? His Majesty the King personally issued the order. Reinforcements have arrived. Why didn't I see them? Dodd's eyes widened when he heard this, and he suddenly grabbed the messenger's collar and asked with a fierce expression. I don't know, but His Majesty the King also said that if you see any strange creatures, don't attack them, just wait and see what happens, and wait for the end. The messenger soldier who was grabbed by the collar looked bitter and continued speaking quickly. Is it the secret ace power of His Majesty the Little King? Keeping this question, Dodd let go of the messenger, who immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Dodd and many other high-ranking officials in the kingdom still maintain a negative attitude towards the new king who has only been on the throne for a few days. After all, the other party didn't show any outstanding performance before the old king was killed. But after all, he is the prince who is the direct descendant of the old king, and he is also the only one. No matter how disdainful they are of the other party, that is the king they must be loyal to. But how could they know? Roy at this time is no longer the original Prince Roy. Instead, he was replaced by Roy from the real world. As for the original Roy, he had already died in the assassination. Then, what is that? This monster, so many monsters. How is it possible? The sky was torn open and a large group of monsters came out. Suddenly, bursts of fierce noises sounded, pulling Dowd, who was deep in thought, back to reality. Hearing the heated discussions and cries of fear from many of his subordinates, Dodd quickly looked at the surveillance screen. In an instant, Dodd was so frightened that his heart trembled. In the surveillance screen, the sky that was originally blown by the sea breeze suddenly seemed to be torn open by a pair of big white hands. A large group of white masked monsters of different colors and sizes wandered out. No, not as if, instead, there really were pairs of big white hands, tearing the sky apart in both directions. Oh my God, what kind of monster is this? Dodd's expression was dull, and his eyes were dull as he looked at the monsters that kept wandering out from the cracks in the sky that were torn open. Rao has lived for more than 40 years and has seen many demon fruit powers and strange races. At this moment, he was also confused, and was extremely shocked by the horrific scene in front of him. That appeared on the port coast, and from the cracks that were torn apart, groups of monsters flew out. In the dark cracks, you can still see 10 huge heads wearing white masks that look like witches. White bone spurs are arranged around the body on the chest, and below it is a round hole that penetrates the body. Immediately afterwards, they were seen stepping on white boots with curved hooks, slowly walking out of the cracks in the void. The sea breeze blew by, lifting their long black robes, revealing a pair of large white boots. So big. Why did so many strange monsters suddenly appear in the harbor? General, give the order quickly and fire to destroy these monsters, otherwise it will be over. Yes, General. In the surveillance and command room, many soldiers looked at Dodd, who had the highest authority. There was even a deputy general who was ready to give an order for the coastal defense forces to turn the fort artillery to kill the Manos Grande who suddenly appeared in the harbor. The sudden appearance of a large group of monsters really broke their originally tense nerves in an instant, causing them to lose their minds due to anxiety. Once this group of monsters with unknown origins breaks out, they will say difficult things. Not only would they be doomed, but the entire kingdom would suffer heavy losses. Okay. Order. Assemble first. Wait. Hearing the anxious requests of his subordinates, Dodd was also momentarily panicked. But soon, he seemed to suddenly realize something and quickly stopped everyone's movements. Don't worry yet. This is the reinforcements His Majesty the King mentioned? The brainstorm was running wildly. Dodd's mind jumped suddenly, and an incredible idea jumped out. He recalled what the messenger had just said, and then looked at the thousands of monsters that suddenly appeared. In an instant, Dodd's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 8 Cerro Blooms on the Sea. Destruction. 2/5 Please vote for flower evaluation. Dodd recalled the content of the order just delivered by the messenger, and then looked at the thousands of monsters that suddenly appeared. Suddenly, Dodd's eyes suddenly lit up. It must be said that Dodd is very courageous and his thinking is even more out of the box. After a combination of various factors, he really guessed it right. In the eyes of everyone, I saw that the monsters swarming out of the cracks in the void were divided into two batches. Most of the Manos Grande Legion quickly rushed towards the Blue Sea and let out a destructive roar. Its target is the coalition fleets of the two countries that are gradually approaching the port. And the other small part is heading in the other direction. Target. The big Uzumaki spider pirates. Not only the people in the surveillance command room, but also the soldiers stationed in various parts of the harbor defense, and the residents in the towns. Everyone was stunned and looked at the monsters flying out of the cracks in the void, heading towards the sea in the distance. The coast at that location. I remember it was where those damn pirates were stationed, right? Looking at 5 huge black monsters, with hundreds of white masked monsters of different colors and bodies, running towards one direction on the island. Dodd narrowed his eyes slightly, showing a thoughtful look. After a moment, he suddenly smiled coldly. Really? These unknown monsters are really reinforcements sent by His Majesty the King. It's just that it's a little too scary. I'm afraid. These thousands of white masked monsters should be a race of monsters, right? Dodd showed a dumbfounded smile. Your Majesty, where did this monster population come from? However, Dodd was full of expectations for the power of these monsters, each of which could fly, and his eyes were burning. With His Majesty Roy here, the Kingdom of Oguyana will definitely ascend to the top of other countries. It is still 15 kilometers away from Stia Port on the sea. More than 60 large and small ships kept sailing at a medium speed, constantly approaching the Kingdom of Oguyana. On one of the giant flagships, a group of middle-aged and elderly people who were obviously high-ranking dignitaries and generals of the kingdom gathered together, chatting and laughing. Ha ha ha, in this battle, we will definitely defeat the Oguyana Kingdom. Oguyana will destroy us and we will share the food and become stronger. That's right. It's time for the old Ogu country that has existed for hundreds of years to fall, occupying such a large territory. However, it has not yet become a franchise country under world government. Now that we have been developing under the protection of the world government for decades, it's time for this rotten old man of the Ogu kingdom to decompose. A group of generals from the Kingdom of Malis and the Kingdom of Guder continued to discuss, their tone full of indignation and arrogance. It seems that in their eyes, the Oguyana Kingdom is already within their grasp. Take it. However, their arrogant laughter soon stopped. Why did it suddenly become so hot? The air also became dull and difficult to breathe. What happened? On the flagship, many generals and ministers suddenly felt a burst of heat, and then their bodies felt as if 10 times the force of gravity had been applied, making them extremely uncomfortable. Soon, they saw a huge scarlet ray coming from a distance. It was like the sun setting on the sea, the last beautiful afterglow of the sunset. But in their eyes, it was like the greeting before the arrival of Shinigami. So disappointing. Phew. Boom. After a moment of extreme silence, there was a violent boom and explosion. Scarlet rays shot from a distance and penetrated 8 large ships in an instant, killing nearly 10,000 people. The large ship that was penetrated and exploded burst into flames, and the scarlet rays continued to bombard the sea. Another round of violent rolling waves was triggered, setting off a tsunami. Enemy attack. Fight back. The fleets of the two coalition forces were immediately beaten and panicked. When they saw a group of Manos Grande legions flying in the sky, flying towards them, they were all dumbfounded. Why are there so many monsters? And they were all flying in the sky, with thousands of monsters attacking them. Get out of the way. Let Laozi kill them all. Felix, the admiral soldier who commanded the Mari's Kingdom fleet, pushed away the soldiers in front of him and roared. His figure skyrocketed and turned into a minotaur, swinging out the machete in his hand. Then, at the next moment, a giant virtual creature pounced over with 2 powerful virtual creatures. Felix was torn into pieces in less than 3 seconds. This scene instantly shocked a group of Kingdom senior officials, generals and commanders. Felix was the strongest person in their group, but now he was torn into pieces? Without any warning, hundreds of heads flew down before they could be frightened for long. In an instant, wolves entered the sheep flock, and a tragic slaughter began. In an army of tens of thousands, there are only a few demon fruit powers, and their strength is still very low. The remaining army soldiers are just a group of ordinary humans. With such strength, what would be the result against 3,000 terrifying low-level hollows and 10 of the lowest-level Jillian Manos Grande? The answer is, the entire army was annihilated. How could a mere ordinary human body be able to deal with the opponents of hollows who had damaged their souls? In the explosion of Jillian Manos Grande's Cerro, more than 60 ships were all destroyed and exploded. Cerro fired a volley, creating a perfect sunset. A stunning sunset scene composed of the blood, screams and destruction of the slaughtered. This scene makes the guys who are watching all this and have designs on it feel frightened. Tens of thousands of human soldiers were killed by low-level voids, eating away their life energy and souls. There are even dead soldiers, and the hollow situation appears. It is estimated that after the massacre of this war, no less than 10,000 low-level cannon fodder Shu will be born. The other side, somewhere on the West Blue Coast, the temporary base of the Uzumaki Spider Pirates. A group of pirates, not knowing that the crisis had come, were still having a picnic party with singing and dancing. Until a scarlet ray that penetrates the world bursts out. Falling into the crowd, it exploded. Chapter 9 Desperate Schoolyard. 3/5 Please vote for flower evaluation. When a blazing ray carrying a hot and strong wind struck. Boom. None of the pirates expected this sudden attack, and hundreds of pirates died immediately. He was directly blown to pieces and turned into coke and ashes in the terrible Cerro explosion in high temperature. Enemy attack. Damn it, an enemy fired a laser at us. Damn it. Damn Oganjana Kingdom, is this Marine Admiral Kizaru's laser? Did they ask Marine for help? After the explosion, the remaining 700 or so pirates were all angry. Anyone who is suddenly attacked by a fatal and devastating attack will instantly become angry. Asshole. Cheer up Laozi and prepare for artillery fire. As the captain, Schoolyard was also very angry and roared. All the pirates were excited, holding swords, spears and cannons, scanning the enemy everywhere. The next moment, they saw hundreds of terrifying white masked monsters with different shapes and colors, flying towards them. This is an ability user. Is it an army of ability users? How is that possible? Looking at the hundreds of ferocious monsters with different shapes and colors, it can be seen that they are of the same type of race. I immediately thought it was similar to Zone Demon Fruit Power, and mistakenly thought it was a legion of ability users. But what kind of devil fruit can give everyone the ability to fly? Idiot! How can there be so many devil fruits of the same type? Even if there were, it would be absolutely impossible to collect so many. Seeing that a group of subordinates were frightened, their combat strength had been reduced by 3 points before the battle even started. Schoolyard was immediately roared and scolded in anger. That's true, damn it. Is it a race of monsters I've never seen before? Asshole. I was almost deceived, but fortunately Boss Scuyard was smart and saw through it. Kill them. They are just a bunch of beasts, then there is nothing to be afraid of. Hearing this, many pirates breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately afterwards, because of his frightened posture, now he reacted and felt ashamed. Everyone became even more angry and angry, their eyes were blood-red and filled with bloodlust. Ha ha ha, stupid pirates, is it just you? A powerful figure sneered, then roared, and his figure flashed at an extremely fast speed. Instantly appeared in front of a pirate cadre. The dazzling cold light flashed, blood surged from the throats of the pirate cadres, and a human head fell to the ground. So fast! Seeing this, the other pirates looked shocked. This is one of the cadres of the great Uzumaki spider pirates. Unexpectedly, he was killed by these monsters in one move? Oh! The next moment, there was a flash of sword light, Changshu howled miserably, and turned into spirit powder. The shattered spiritual particles disappeared silently and merged into this area. At this time, the pirates reacted and saw that it was Boss Scuyard who had taken action. Why are you so stunned? Kill them all. Scuyard glared with a fierce expression, and the pirates were frightened. Soon, they started to howl and start fighting with the low-level hollows. It has to be said that the pirates from the New World are much stronger than the ordinary soldiers of the kingdom's army. It usually takes more than a dozen kingdom soldiers to kill one of the lowest-level ordinary cannon fodder Shu. In front of this group of pirates, it only takes a few to kill them. It seems to be affected by the rules of the world and the life energy of this world. Not only can ordinary humans see creatures like the Hollow, but they can also touch and fight with them. Although the pirates can attack the Hollows, there are too many Hollows. There are 500 of them, including hundreds of giant Hollows, 200 powerful Hollows, and the rest are ordinary cannon fodder Hollows. The basic strength of low-level Hollows is much stronger than that of pirates. For a time, slowly, the pirates discovered in horror that more and more of their dead companions were dying. On the pirate ship, the cannons that bombarded a large number of cannon fodder Hollows were also destroyed by the powerful Hollows and giant Hollows. They are not brainless Jillian Manos Grande, who have not evolved into chaos and have no individual consciousness. They can think and talk. The dangerous cannon was quickly destroyed by them. Asshole. Die to lousy. In the battlefield, Scuyard's eyes were red and his body was stained with blood. This is the blood of his dead pirates. There was also blood splashing out after being slashed. After killing a giant Hollow, Scuyard began to pant at this time. The high-intensity battle lasted for half an hour, killing more than a dozen giant Hollows and hundreds of powerful and ordinary Hollows. It consumed a lot of his physical strength. At this time, Scuyard looked at the time when there were still almost 300 monsters on the field. The ferocious eyes couldn't help but become a little tired and weak. Looking at the pirates under his command, there are only less than 100 of them left. Damn Oganjana Kingdom. Where did it attract so many monsters? Scuyard's hands began to shake after cutting for so long. Seeing how many low-level voids were left, my emotions began to collapse. In the fight just now, he learned from the mouths of these monsters. It turns out that they are obeying His Majesty the King of this kingdom. Scuyard has already decided to give up at this time. If he continues like this, he will definitely die here. However, when Scuyard was about to evacuate, he suddenly saw a huge shadow appearing under his feet. Immediately afterwards, there was a roaring sound of wind pressure from behind. A white arm rushed towards him, and its white claws pierced the air, exuding terrifying power. Peeved. Feeling the crisis behind him, Scuyard's expression changed drastically and he hurriedly dodged away. However, another huge figure followed. Jillian, who exuded an astonishing sense of oppression, appeared, waved her black robe, and punched out. Scuyard, who had just dodged a blow, was hit instantly. His body made a snapping sound, severe pain swept through his body, and he vomited blood. Along with the sound of bones breaking and shattering coming from all over the body, the whole person was blown away. Chapter 10 Dad Will Take Revenge. Summoning, Fairy Queen Urza. 4/5 Please vote for flower evaluation. Jillian Manos Grande's sudden attack caused Scuyard to suffer a huge loss. He escaped the first attack, but not the second. However, Skuyard, who vomited blood and flew backwards, was trying to adjust his body shape. Jillian's attack comes again. Lifting up the huge white boots with curved hooks, Skuyard looked at him from the side as if he had eaten shit. Kicked Skuyard away with one kick. A powerful and heavy kick kicked Skuyard more than 100 meters away, smashed a huge rock, and then broke two giant trees more than 20 meters high before stopping the impact. If you look carefully, you can find the playful look in Jillian's scarlet pupils. Obviously, this is a Jillian who has begun to have independent consciousness. In terms of strength, it is several times stronger than other Jillian Manos Grande. Although he already has an independent consciousness, Roy has already issued an order not to swallow other Jillian evolutions. The imprint engraved deep in the soul makes it impossible for it to cross. It can only devour the life energy of other souls honestly. Unfortunately, a life form and a powerful soul like Skuyard with Vice Admiral level strength. He was targeted by it. Peefed, ahem, damn bastard. Are these guys the demon fruit power? With his back against the trunk of the burst tree, Skuyard's face turned pale. Just when he wanted to stand up straight, he heard bursts of brittle bones and severe pain coming from his body. Oops. After feeling it carefully, Skuyard discovered it. After being hit hard twice, more than 20 bones were broken all over his body. The right humerus, left calf, ribs, were broken in many places. Even the internal organs were not spared from injuries. Damn Ogunjana Kingdom, Dad will not let you go, Dad will avenge me. Laozi is the son of 4 Emperors Whitebeard, you are absolutely. Skuyard, who realized that he had lost his fighting power, suddenly felt a sense of fear and fright. He looked at a large group of hollows licking their bloody mouths and attacking him crazily. Skuyard was really scared this time. He still wanted to struggle and say harsh words to intimidate these monsters. However, what greeted him was a group of low-level hollows who stared at his delicious and powerful soul and life energy. They are eager to eat more powerful souls and life energy in order to move to a higher level of evolution. I don't care who you are, I'll eat them all. Monster. It hurts so much, my coon. The pain of being eaten away at both body and soul was extraordinary, and Skuyard's screams could not be heard without end. But soon, Jillian, who gave birth to individual consciousness, blew away the other hollows. Get out of here. Let Laozi enjoy the experience exclusively. After a few minutes, the fighting on this stretch of coast was completely over. Nearly 1,000 members of the Uzumaki Spider Pirates, including Skuyard, were all killed. Not long after, dozens of new low-level hollows were born. At this point, the crisis of annihilation brought about by the alliance of the two kingdoms and the great pirate Skuyard has been lifted. And in this battle, more than 10,000 virtuals from the native world were born. Among them, there are even a dozen Jillian Manos Grande. In the king's palace. The moment the Uzumaki Spider Pirates were completely destroyed. The system's voice instantly sounded in Roy's mind. Ding! Mission 2, the Horn of Destruction of the Empire, has been completed. Ding! You got 3,000 source coins and the character, Water Demon Basha. Ding! Your subordinate Ulquiorra killed all members of CP7, and you obtained 415 source coins. Your Manos Grande Legion destroyed 7.4W coalition forces and obtained 8,200 source coins. Your men, the Manos Grande Legion, completely annihilated the Uzumaki Spider Pirates and obtained 3,855 origin coins. You have obtained a total of 12,055 source coins. Hear the sound of the system prompting that the task is completed, as well as the series of prompts for obtaining source coins. Roy couldn't help but smile. As expected of a Manos Grande creature, the speed of completing the task is not too slow. If it relied solely on the soldiers of the kingdom, this would be an impossible task. With the original number of soldiers in the Okugana Kingdom, they could kill the Uzumaki Spider Pirates with their lives. But the high-ranking ministers of the Ogunjana Kingdom were also afraid that killing Skuyard would lead to the revenge of the 4 Emperors Whitebeard. Another reason is that they need to use all their strength to deal with the attacks of the Kingdom of Maris and the Kingdom of Guder. Otherwise, at the moment when Skuyard massacred hundreds of residents of an island town outside, the kingdom's top officials will also send troops to expel and kill him, at least to allow this big pirate to escape with serious injuries. After all, as a big country that has existed for hundreds of years. The Ogunjana Kingdom also has 1 or 2 vice admiral level experts. This is also the reason why Skuyard did not directly lead the pirate group to the harbor, but dared to challenge the Ogunjana Kingdom. Just looking at the harbor dock in the town of Stia, the defense forces numbered thousands, with hundreds of artillery mounted. How could Skuyard dare to charge head-on? Therefore, they chose to station themselves on a coastline where they could see the Stia harbor from a distance, waiting for opportunities. However, now all calculations are gone. Skuyard also lost his entire pirate group's lives. However, Roy is a little confused about how the source coins obtained after killing are calculated. The Manos Grande Legion annihilated more than 70,000 people, but only had more than 8,000 source coins? System, explain. Roy directly communicated with the system and asked it. Soon, Roy received a reply from the system. After a moment, Roy suddenly understood. Ordinary life forms are too weak, and you will not get source coins after killing a black iron level life form. Only when you reach the black iron level and kill the target can you obtain the origin coin. So, a large Uzumaki Spider Pirates group of nearly 1,000 people can absorb most of the source coins obtained by the coalition forces? Compared in this way, the strength of the soldiers of the two countries' coalition forces is really weak. After comparing the number of people on both sides and the source coins obtained, Roy realized how big the strength gap between ordinary soldiers and elite pirates was. Skuyard alone contributed 320 points of source coins. If it weren't for the joint forces of the two countries that killed the elite soldiers of the Oguyana Kingdom, and the tragic deaths of the old king and many ministers. There is also help from the world government. Are these two kingdoms going to fight against the Ogunjana Kingdom? Now that you have obtained so many origin coins, let's do another summons. The silver level summoning pool has not been summoned yet. This time, let's have a silver level 10 consecutive ones at the bottom. After a sudden burst of wealth, Roy thought about it. Now with only Ulquiorra and the Water Demon Bazaar who has not yet been summoned, there are still too few strong people. It is necessary to continue summoning more powerful characters. System. Conduct a silver level 10 consecutive summons. So, sitting on the throne, Roy spoke with anticipation in his eyes. As Roy finished speaking, the familiar summoning space of the Cosmic Star Sea appeared. Ding! You spent 1,000 source coins to perform the silver 10th summon. You obtained the following summons. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the character, Fairy Queen, Urza Shukaredo. Chapter 11 Haribel. Angry Beast Yami. 5/5 Please vote for flower evaluation. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the character, Fairy Queen, Urza Shukaredo. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Magic Crystal Core, *10. Ding! Congratulations on summoning a weakened version of Fairy Beans. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the 4-star Petrification, Dragon Ball. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the virtual Jillian Manos Grande, *10. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Normal Void, *500. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the virtual Whale-shaped Ajukas. Ding! Congratulations on summoning a pair of Mermaid Shells. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Shunpo. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Slavery Dark Gear, *10. Good guy. A big silver summons, the first one is a huge surprise. The Fairy Queen in Fairy Tale, Urza Shukaredo. This is one of Roy's favorite female characters. And she was the first female character to be summoned. Roy's deep and charming black eyes instantly shined. It would be impossible for her to live in the palace and become her own concubine. But, there's no rush yet, the summons is not over yet. System. Conduct another golden 10 consecutive summons. He resisted the urge to summon Urza, this sweet and salty beauty, the queen's sister Loli, from the summoning space right now. Roy spoke to the system again. Ding! You spent 10,000 source coins to perform the golden 10 consecutive summons. You obtained the following summons. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Zone Devil Fruit, Fantasy Beast Type 9 Tails Skyfox form. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the Top Hockey, Conqueror's Hockey Bamatu. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Normal Void, * 2000. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the character, the third Espada, Tier Haribel. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the Konoha Anbu Ninja, Jonin, * 10. Ding! Congratulations on summoning a Sacred Tree Seed. Ding! Congratulations on summoning 24 vehicles, Captain Level Ryotsu. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the characters, the 10th Espada, Yami Largo, and his subordinate officer, Void Dog. Ding! Congratulations on summoning Powerful Illusion, * 1000. Ding! Congratulations on summoning the Supreme Sharp Sword, Mingye. Ding! You have obtained the Fairy Queen, Urosa Shukaredo, the third Espada, Tier Haribel, the 10th Espada, Yami Ryogor, Jillian. 30% of the strength and talent, and its equipment and weapons. After the system's broadcast was completed, Roy suddenly felt that his strength suddenly increased significantly. But this sudden surge of power showed no sign of losing control. It was the kind that was completely under his control. However, in terms of strength level, it has exceeded one level. From the original Gold Intermediate level to the Gold Advanced level. In addition to the sudden increase in strength, what makes Roy even more concerned and delighted is Sister Bay, Tier Haribel. Unexpectedly, this dark-skinned beauty was summoned so quickly. Roy had known for a long time that the system seemed to be focusing on summoning him from the Manos Grande camp in Shinigami. The reason Roy can probably guess is that Manos Grande is really suitable for war. Swallow evolution. Become stronger and evolve in the endless bloodlust, and enter a higher level of evolution. It even has characteristics similar to those of the undead. The more you fight, the stronger you get. In this war alone, which destroyed 100,000 coalition forces, more than 10,000 ordinary hollows were born, as well as 14 Jillian Manos Grande who evolved after devouring each other. Summon. After calming down his slightly excited mood, Roy returned to the Real Kingdom Hall. Sitting on the throne, supporting his chin with his hand, his eyes and aura became more powerful at this moment. The real beginning of transformation towards becoming an emperor who rules a kingdom. The proud temperament that looks down on the world is gradually revealed. As Roy finished speaking, 4 Uzumaki doors of different sizes appeared in the center of the hall. Uzumaki, who was last in line, came out, and 10 ninjas wearing green vests were the Anbu ninjas of Konoha. He immediately knelt down on one knee and lowered his head. Then, in front of them were 3 slightly smaller Uzumaki doors, and 3 people stepped out of the Uzumaki doors at the same time. The arrogant, rebellious and 2.2-meter tall Espada Yami. With his subordinate officer puppy, Kukabro. A loyal little guy who stayed with Yami until the last moment of his life despite his scolding. Fairy Queen, Ursa Shukaredo. Finally, there's the sexy and cold dark-skinned beauty, the third Espada, Tier Haribel. Known as Sister Bay, Tier Haribel, Elsa Shukaredo. Yami Largo, Konoha Anbu Ninja. See His Majesty the King. Everyone knelt down on one knee and saluted Roy respectfully. Well, no courtesy. Roy nodded with a slight smile. After glancing at the Konoha Anbu Ninja, he lost interest. Then he focused on Ursa and Sister Bay. Hearing this, everyone stood up one after another. However, after the Anbu ninjas quickly glanced at Roy, they withdrew their gaze and lowered their heads slightly. He didn't look at Ursa and Haribel in front of him. But he glanced at Yami several times, and was a little surprised by how strong and tall he was. And suddenly feeling Roy's gaze on her, the Black Beauty Haribel's beautiful face hidden under the mask blushed slightly. Chapter 12 My wife's system is real. 1/5 Please give me monthly flower evaluation votes. Your Majesty, why are you staring at me? Could it be? When Haribel thought of that possibility, her dark-skinned beauty's eyes flashed as her beautiful eyes met Roy's. At that time, Sister Bay's whole mood was confused. She withdrew her gaze and turned her head slightly. Ursa also felt Roy's gaze, but she was not as shy as Haribel. Instead, he looked at him with interest, his seductive red lips slightly raised, and his beautiful eyes looking at Roy sharply. Interesting. The corners of Roy's mouth raised slightly. Enzen really deserves to be the Fairy Queen Ursa. Compared to the shyness of the cold Black Beauty Bay, Ursa seemed particularly bold. However, Roy, who was familiar with Urza, knew. The fairy queen in front of me is also very shy and cute when it comes to the relationship between men and women. Wei Wei used her summoner ability to check, and Roy discovered that the current Urza was just the Urza from the beginning of the plot. In other words, in the world of fairy tale, Lucy has only just joined the guild. Then, I checked Yami again. As expected, the same is true for the plot of the Shinigami world. Interesting, it seems that I still have a good chance. However, the current situation is not the time to consider these worlds. Roy directly opened the information of the summoned item and checked its attributes and uses. The Magic Crystal Core is a silver-level magic crystal that enhances magic power. The weakened version of the Fairy Bean is also at the silver level, and because it is only at the silver level, it has no effect in restoring broken arms and limbs. However, there are other attribute effects, and the full version of the Fairy Bean must be at the gold level. The petrified 4-star Dragon Ball lives up to its name, but is useless for the time being. Shunpo, a special skill of the Shinigami, Mermaid's Shell. After reading this thing, Roy felt a little helpless. Open black lens bracket Mermaid's Shell close black lens bracket quality. Silver type. Auxiliary, apparel. Effect. It is an artifact that helps women go from A to E and beautifies their beauty. It will never accidentally fall off. Evaluation. This is the dream item for rich women at the airport. Open black lens bracket slavery dark gear close black lens bracket quality. Gold type. Control, slavery. Effect. After the target loses combat effectiveness and consciousness, the gear can be embedded in the target's body to completely enslave it. Note. Restricted to gold intermediate level and below. Unless the target dies, it cannot be forcibly removed except by the owner. Evaluation. In the sea where strong men are like clouds, no matter how powerful the enemy is, they will become slaves at your mercy. Among the silver summons, the last Ajukas in whale form is a powerful Ajukas of silver level. Open black lens bracket Modi Zassi close black lens bracket level. Silver, advanced, innate abilities. Co-evolution, Sero, ringing, black tone. Race. Manos Grande equipment, none favorability, 60, friend. Loyalty. 100, max, comprehensive evaluation. Intermediate Manos Grande has a strong desire to evolve. After evolving into Vasto Lord, the sea will be her home court. The first water-type Ajukas. Sister Bay's words don't count. Sister Bay is a Vasto Lord level Arankar. The level strength of the Silver Superior is comparable to the strength of the Elite Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters. There is a co-evolution talent added to the talent ability, and the Ajuka's level still has the potential to continue to evolve. And Vasto Lord is the pinnacle of the evolution of Manos Grande. Ulquiorra does not have this talent ability in his attribute panel, which makes sense. After looking at the silver level summons, Roy immediately went on to check out the gold summons. Top Hockey, Conqueror's Hockey Bamatu. Roy is obviously not using it now, but there is still an Imperial Majesty. Hockey is leaking sideways. It's so intimidating that you don't dare to look at it. The Nine-Tails Devil Fruit of the Fantasy Beast series is a high-quality product produced by the system without any side effects. Among the Konoha Anbu ninjas, the strongest captain is Silver Intermediate, which is equivalent to the strength level of the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. The Vice Captain is also at the intermediate level of Silver, and the remaining Anbu ninjas are all at the lower level of Silver. Sacred Tree Seeds, Platinum Level Chakra Sacred Tree Seeds. That's right. It's the sacred tree seed that the Otsutsuki clan uses to absorb the energy of the planet to grow among the Hokage ninjas. Captain level Ryotsu, not much to say, but if you count it by car. The captain of a certain 6-car team felt offended. 24th Fleet Captain Ryotsu? This can be regarded as a calculation problem. So, how many Mugeruma Kensai are equivalent to Ryotsu, the leader of the 24th Fleet? The last Supreme Sword, Ming Yi. Roy didn't remember that there was such a weapon in the original work. Are you afraid that the system didn't make it up on its own? But it doesn't matter, I guess I won't be able to use this knife. Isn't the Zanpakuto that the Espadas recreated much better than this? The last thing left is the panel attributes of Haribel, Urza and Yami. Open black lens bracket Elsa Shukaredo close black lens bracket level. Gold level, lower level. Innate abilities. Dress Up Magic Knight, Space Magic, Magic Power. Race. Human equipment. Half-length armor skirt favorability, 62, favorable. Loyalty. 100, max, comprehensive evaluation. The royal sister Queen Loli, the ever-changing fairy queen who can be both sweet and salty. Not only is she powerful, she is also very perseverant in her thoughts. She is a complete virtuous queen. Open black lens bracket tier Haribel close black lens bracket level, platinum level, lower level. Talent abilities. Wang Shu's Flash, high-speed regeneration, black Sero, blue sword cannon. Race. Void, Arrancar equipment, Zanpakuto Empress Shark. Favorability. 65, favorable. Loyalty. 100, max, comprehensive evaluation. A cold queen who is powerful but does not kill indiscriminately. She does not gain strength by killing others to make herself stronger. Beneath the cold appearance is a contrasting personality of fiery and shy. Open black lens bracket Yami Largo close black lens bracket level. Gold level, advanced level. Innate abilities. Rage, Sero, blank bullet, steel skin, soul-sucking, nerve detection. Race. Void, Arrancar equipment, Zanpakuto Angry Beast. Loyalty. 100, max, overview. Anger. It is the foundation for him to continue to become stronger. A ferocious and murderous beast, a complete giant of war. The first Zero Blade born, the strongest, self-proclaimed, Zero in Espada. After reading it all, Roy came to a conclusion. That is, the female characters have more favorability points. Very good, it is indeed a wife and thug summoning system. I am even willing to call you my adopted father, system. I dare not agree. Chapter 13 Legion Appointment. Celestial Dragons are coming. 2/5 please vote for flower evaluation. As expected, Haribel is indeed a platinum level existence, the same level as Ulquiorra. This is not surprising, after all, the two were originally ranked 3rd and 4th. And Urza's level. Judging from the opponent's performance in the original work, it seems to be similar. In this world, there are also people with Admiral level strength. The bronze level summoning pool can summon black iron and bronze level summoning objects, and the silver level summoning pool can summon silver and gold level summoning objects. The gold level summoning pool can only be opened at the platinum level, and the diamond level above requires certain conditions to be opened. However, what surprised Roy was that Yami also had the rank of gold level advanced. The innate ability of Fury allows Yami to store strength through long periods of eating and sleeping. When needed, it explodes all at once, and the body shape will become huge with the explosion of power, and the Ryotsu, defense, and attack power will also be greatly enhanced. Therefore, under normal circumstances, this guy is a good guy and loves to talk trash. Anyway, under normal circumstances, it has an admiral level of combat effectiveness. It can be considered a super combat power. After all, the lowest level of gold level is the strength of the Imperial Deputy. The gold intermediate level is the level of the Admiral Powerhouse, and the intermediate level and above are the 4 Emperors level. But, the General and the Emperor are at the same level. Judging from Yami's final performance in the original work, it's not impossible to blast Kaido with a blast. Dragon Man Kaido is resistant to beating, has high attack power and has heaven-defying recovery power, but isn't the same true for Yami? The Angry Beast in the first stage had many legs chopped off, but after entering the complete giant form in the second stage, it fully recovered without any injuries. If he were to enter the strongest position for the final battle with the two captains, he would probably have the strength of a platinum-level subordinate. With T-Zero's Ryotsu and physical strength, Espada deserves to be ranked 0. Although he was chopped down by Kenpachi and Byakuya in the end. There is no other reason than that I am too good at it, and I have a huge and infinitely growing Ryotsu and body. It has high attack and defense, and Ryotsu grows infinitely, but it cannot control and compress its size. It keeps growing infinitely, and the target is too big. If you can keep increasing your defense while maintaining your body shape. A few more captains would be killed on the spot by Yami. For example, the Star Cross Regiment in the Thousand-Year Blood War, a member of Uwacha's bodyguard, Gerald Valrici, has similar abilities to Yami. It can be said that it is more like an upgraded version of Yami's capabilities. He does not need to rely on eating and sleeping to accumulate strength and continue to strengthen through anger like Yami. After this guy opened the holy body, even Byakuya Kuchiki, Zaraki Kenpachi, and Hitsugaya Toshiro, who were several times stronger than in the Espada chapter, could not defeat him together. In the end, if Yuwatch hadn't activated the Holy Spirit, Gerald Valkyrie would have been killed by the plot. Otherwise, with this guy's ability to be resurrected after death and become stronger, even several captains would not be able to justify his immortality. But Yami has great potential. Roy feels that this natural ability must be properly cultivated and this powerful ability cannot be buried. In other words, the Oganjana Kingdom now has 2 Admiral-level top combat capabilities. There are also 2 combat power ceilings that exceed the 4 Emperors level. It can be said that there is no kingdom or power organization in the world that can compete with the Okugana Kingdom in terms of high-end combat effectiveness. A Platinum-level Ulquiorra alone is enough to stop any Emperor level 1. Unless something big changes in this world, 1 Xiao Wu is already the ceiling. Your Majesty the King, the coalition forces of Maris and Gudel have been completely destroyed. Dear Your Majesty, you are definitely the greatest king in history. Praise to Your Majesty Roy. The crisis of national annihilation was actually resolved under your heroic command. Your Majesty the King. The ministers who came in response to Roy's summons order beamed and praised him after entering the hall. Some veterans even began to cry with joy. Unexpectedly, a crisis of national annihilation actually occurred within a few days of Roy's ascension to the throne. Solved. Whether it's 100,000 coalition troops or the great pirate Skuyard. Even the Admiral Army, who were recovering from their injuries, arrived at the scene at this time. Heimo Shiosi was a rear admiral of the Marine branch. Later, due to the darkness within Marine, he was framed by a greedy villain. Not only was he fired from his position, he was even imprisoned for several years. After coming out, I traveled around the world for 2 years. Finally, I met the old king by chance and was invited to become the king's general. This stay lasted for 30 years. Now that he heard that such a big matter has been solved, Shiosi was shocked. So, dragging a body that had just recovered from serious injuries to minor injuries, he came. It just so happens that since all the ministers are here, I will announce something. After glancing at the people in the hall, Haribel, Urza and others had already stood aside due to their own benefit. Ulquiorra has also returned, siding with Yami. Yami's huge body just blocked Haribel's graceful and proud figure, but because of the angle, everyone could still see her face. These people in white are the Espada Legion in my hands. From now on, they will be the Legion in the Kingdom of Oganjana, with power and status higher than the entire army. At the same time, it is also the Legion directly under my king. Everyone in the Espada Legion is awarded the title of General of the Kingdom. Ren, Urza, form the king's guard corps and serve as its leader. The ninja tribe was incorporated into the intelligence department, disbanded and reorganized. As Roy's appointments were issued, all the ministers present were in high spirits. It turns out that the person who took action to solve the crisis of national annihilation was the so-called Espada Legion. The secret army in the hands of His Majesty the King. Those terrifying monsters are also the Manos Grande Legion controlled by His Majesty the King. Suddenly, ministers and generals responded one after another. I am also very curious and in awe of the Espada Legion. I am in awe and reverence for Roy. Order to issue a conscription from now on. At least 50,000 recruits are needed. In addition, mobilize the army. After the 3 overseas island towns are recovered, they will attack with the Manos Grande army to capture the Kingdom of Maris and the Kingdom of Guder. Within the sphere of influence of the Oganjana Kingdom, the 3 occupied island towns have begun to be recovered. What Roy has to do now is to engage in an all-out war with these 2 damn rebel kingdoms and take them into his own territory. Yes, Your Majesty the King. In the main hall, the ministers shouted loudly. With these powerful men from the Espada Legion and the Manos Grande Legion, the Kingdom of Oganjana will rise again. On the other side, time moves forward, in the Kingdom of Maris. An ugly man wearing a transparent hood and a snotty nose stared at him. The celestial dragons sitting on the throne, St. Charlos, kicked out in anger. At her feet, King and Princess Maris, who was wearing sexy and revealing decorations, screamed and was kicked out. Asshole! How dare you suddenly change your mind and refuse to pay tribute to heavenly gold? Originally, Saint Charles thought that he could get a lot of wealth this time, so he stayed comfortably in this kingdom and suspended his plan to travel around various countries to enjoy the customs. Unexpectedly, there are still people in this world who dare to refuse celestial dragons and invite them to become a franchise country. Giant country. Huh. It was obvious that when the invitation was sent out before, the other party had already started to show some interest. But now he suddenly refused with righteous words and a firm attitude. At her feet, the princess, who was mostly naked, saw the dangling feet of Saint Charles. He crawled over with a face full of pain, and then let Saint Charles step on his white back again. Chapter 14. The Attracted Jillian. Mother ex-princess, 3/5 please ask for flowers and review votes. Shame. Extremely shameful. 90% of his body was visible to the ministers and generals present. But she didn't dare to resist, just because the person stepping on him in front of him is the world's noble celestial dragons. What's more, as her husband, King Pyrome, he remained silent and served the celestial dragons with a flattering face. He didn't take her as a princess seriously at all, he just wanted to use her to make the celestial dragons more comfortable. Then I can get involved with celestial dragons. Looking around, almost all the ministers and generals in the kingdom's main hall were peeking at her with aggressive and lustful eyes. Even, you can see her parts that have been strangled and plump and overflowing. They all raised solemn flags. Suddenly, the princess, who was stared at by so many blazing eyes, felt even more ashamed. There were gradually puddles of water stains on the reflective floor beneath him where he was kneeling. And when the old King Pyrome heard about the Oganjana kingdom, he actually refused to become a member of the world government. He felt overjoyed in his heart. This is right. If the Oganjana kingdom really becomes a franchise country, then I will definitely not be able to attack it anymore. Well now, the other party actually refused. Pei Luoma almost laughed out loud. But soon, he lost any joy at all. Report. Urgent report from the front. Suddenly, a centurion quickly ran into the hall. With a look of anxiety and panic on his face, after entering the main hall, he knelt down and reported hurriedly. Your Majesty the King. Something bad has happened. Our coalition fleet was attacked by an unknown monster, and monsters were flying all over the sky. There is also a black monster that is tens of meters tall and can shoot red lasers from its mouth. It can kill several ships with one blow and kill thousands of soldiers in an instant, and... boom! However, the centurion hasn't finished speaking yet. A gunshot resounded throughout the king's hall. There was also a blood hole on the centurion's temple. Bang! The centurion, full of doubts, fell heavily to the ground, his eyes filled with astonishment. Your Highness, this... Seeing this, King Perlamar's expression did not change, and he looked at Saint Charles flatteringly. Mud. Why did this damn celestial dragon suddenly shoot and kill the centurion who was conveying information about the war situation? His expression remained unchanged on the surface, but after hearing such shocking news, Pei Luoma was also frightened. But before he could hear the whole story of the battle, the centurion was shot dead by Saint Charles. What's next? Where is the rest of the information? At this time, Pei Luoma's heart was suddenly filled with a bad premonition. In addition, there was another person standing next to him. King of the Kingdom of Guder, Kars. Karls was also a little confused at this time, but he was also very anxious. The 100,000 coalition forces formed by their two kingdoms were just gone? HMPH, stupid and rude, lowly human. How dare you ignore the existence of this saint? Damn it. Just when the two of them were anxious, they heard Saint Charles suddenly speak. In an instant, the two old kings felt bad. Damn, this is what love is all about. Damn it, the celestial dragons are so arrogant and cruel, they don't take anyone seriously at all. However, this behavior is really something that celestial dragons would do casually. Yes, this idiot really deserves to die. Your Great Highness, celestial dragons, is here. The whole world should respect you, His Highness. Licking his face, the old King Pyrome bowed his waist with a flattering smile on his face, and immediately started to blow wildly. In order to gain a relationship with the celestial dragons, he even sacrificed his own princess as a sex bitch. In this case, of course I can only lick it to the end. That's right, that idiot, I will sell all his family members later. Your Highness, calm down. With Pei Luoma taking the lead, Kars also responded. Not to mention other ministers and generals, the king has spoken, so they will naturally not be left behind. So they all began to praise him and scolded the dead centurion bloody. HMPH, of course, I am a noble world noble, a great race of celestial dragons. It's not something you lowly pariahs can compare to. Saint Charles was very satisfied with the reaction of these people, and he immediately reduced everyone to a lowly species as soon as he opened his mouth. After all, in the eyes of all celestial dragons, except them, all the creatures of all races in the world are the lowest, and they were born to serve them celestial dragons. Good guy, it smells like celestial dragons right from the start. Not to mention the two kingdoms and those ministers and generals. Even the bearded man guarding Saint Charles could not help but raise his eyebrows. For being suddenly assigned to be the bodyguard of Saint Charles, Don Felix felt extremely rejected and disgusted in his heart. But as a member of CP0, no matter how much I resist and hate this kind of mission, that's all we can do is endure all kinds of circumstances and accept this task. Who allowed himself to be a member of CP0, the world's most powerful espionage and assassination agency? If he doesn't carry out his orders, he will die. Is there an unknown monster race that is tens of meters tall and can emit red laser beams? Ha ha ha, it's interesting. I just want to go to that kingdom, so let's get some for fun. I want to bring back the Holy Land Marijoy and make those bastards jealous to death. Suddenly, Saint Charles kicked the princess away hard. The ugly face showed a look of extreme interest, as well as dissatisfaction with the Oganjana kingdom's sudden refusal to pay the heavenly gold. He decided that he would personally turn the king who rejected him into his slave. By the way, let's collect a few more giant monsters that can shoot lasers as mentioned by the centurion as thug pets. Chapter 15 Demon Bazaar. Take back the whole territory, 4/5 please vote for flower evaluation. The Kingdom of Oganjana. Several hours have passed since the 70,000 coalition troops were wiped out on the sea. The remaining 3 islands occupied by the Oganjana kingdom are Kama, Paroli, and Sok. They were all recaptured, and the 30,000 coalition soldiers who occupied the town were all annihilated by the thousands of Manos Grande legions and the 10,000 soldiers assembled. All the coalition forces that invaded the Oganjana kingdom have been wiped out. What a group of strange creatures. They seem to have great potential. On the rough pier, a tsunami tens of meters high was set off. The tsunami that was originally supposed to be roaring with the wrath of nature was now just standing tall with raging waves. As if controlled by a mysterious force, there was no intention of filming it and setting off a terrible disaster. In fact, this tsunami is indeed controlled by humans. Just because at the top of the tsunami waves, there stood an aqua blue devil figure. Water Demon, Basha. This man was also summoned by Roy, and was one of the commanders who led the Manos Grande Legion and soldiers to conquer the 2 kingdoms. As the queen who ruled the underwater kingdom of Atlantis thousands of years ago, Basha also has some abilities. Now after being summoned, the physical body was restored by the perfection of the system, and he was reborn again, not in the form of a soul body. But it was also because it had been corroded in hell for thousands of years, and its original power was almost completely destroyed. This is impossible for the system to recover for. To create a physical body for him and regain some strength is already the limit. Otherwise, if you want to restore all its power, the opponent's peak period may be close to the level of an immortal god. Despite this, the strength level of Water Demon Basha is at the peak of the gold lower level. Comparing the strength of Basha at the moment when she ran out of the sealed door in the original work, that is the gap between heaven and earth. It took a long time to roll up a wave with a height of more than 10 meters. There is a question mark as to whether it is even 10 meters high. Simply don't be too embarrassed. At this time, Basha was also very interested in these races called Void. There is quite the idea of taking him into a slave army and driving him. But it is a pity that these belong to His Majesty the King, and she does not dare to touch such suspected treason. After all, she knew very clearly that her life depended on the idea of His Majesty the King. If she were to die, she would die without warning in the next second. Of course, with full loyalty, Basha would definitely not do that kind of thing. After calming down her emotions, Basha planned to separate from the other commander and go to the Guder kingdom. As for the other commander, it is naturally the Admiral Army of Ogunjana, Hamo Coc. Coc, who went into battle with minor injuries, was no longer seriously injured. With his naval headquarters Vice Admiral strength, he led the Manos Grande Legion and 5,000 soldiers to conquer the kingdom of Maris. Totally more than enough. When the two fleets sailed away in two directions, they were greeted enthusiastically by the people. The hard life of being oppressed for dozens of days has now been resolved. How can we not be enthusiastic about it and not be grateful? Inside the king's palace, a tall and thin assistant minister in his 40s walked in quickly. After respectfully saluting Roy on the throne, he said with a somewhat unsightly expression, "Your Majesty the King, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has informed us that the celestial dragons of Charlos will be visiting our country in about an hour. Let us prepare a grand welcome ceremony immediately, and let all the residents go to the coast to welcome us." Good guy, he has no strength at all. Not only is he disgusting, but he is also seriously endangering the whole world. Now you dare to start a showdown with him? Are you here to call for punishment? After hearing the assistant minister's report, Roy sneered. Then he showed an interesting look. It's interesting, now that this celestial insect man has come to visit in person. Then, just play with each other. Roy doesn't have a good impression of these disgusting things like the worms. He probably guessed the idea of the other party's sudden visit. It was nothing more than Ogunjana's refusal to pay the heavenly gold, which made the celestial insect man feel that he had been insulted. So, here comes trouble, but it doesn't matter, they will come when the other party comes. Roy doesn't think this guy will be honest after he comes. Okay, why do you suddenly come to this king to seek death? Finally, Roy muttered to himself quietly. With the character of celestial dragons who disregard the lives of all races as lowly slaves. No matter what the other party's intentions and thoughts are, Roy can't let the other party leave here alive. Time flies by. More than an hour later, a huge and magnificent merchant ship slowly sailed into the Stia harbor pier. Immediately afterwards, hundreds of the most elite soldiers of the kingdom quickly ran down from above and stood in neat formations. The dozens of meters-long gangway was lowered, and the red carpet was rolled out to the shore. Celestial Dragon St. Charlos took the position, leading Princess Paroma, who was kneeling and crawling on the ground, with an explosive figure and revealing and sexy clothes. Surrounding him were two kings, CP0 Felix, and 6 world government combatants wearing black suits. The rest are a dozen high-ranking ministers and generals from the two kingdoms. Originally, St. Charlos had a proud face and was ready to enjoy the cheers of admiration from tens of thousands of untouchables. As a result, when they stood on the shore, they suddenly discovered it. Except for hundreds of soldiers, there was no one else on the entire huge harbor pier. Damn. Damn you untouchable. How dare you despise me, the most noble in the world. Chapter 16 CP0 vs Yami, looking for teeth everywhere. 5/5 please vote for flower evaluation. In an instant, St. Charles's already ugly face became even more ugly because of his anger. At this moment, St. Charles felt that his lungs were about to explode. You have to know when celestial dragons, the noble world nobles, visited those kingdoms. Those so-called kings, princes and ministers, all of them are not accompanied by a group of relatives. A large group of high-ranking officials and nobles greeted the celestial dragons on the harbor pier, just to have a glimpse of the holy face of celestial dragons. Even those untouchables who have never seen the noble celestial dragons will all gather to watch and greet them. But now? There are only a few hundred royal army soldiers stationed in the entire huge harbor? And when they saw him coming, no one knelt down to greet him. How unreasonable! How could St. Charlos, who had always been extremely arrogant, bear this? This is an insult to the noble status of celestial dragons, and a great humiliation to him, St. Charlos. Seeing the celestial dragons St. Charlos about to become furious, a glimmer of light flashed in the eyes of the very discerning Perloma. What a great opportunity! I didn't expect that Ogunjana was so unafraid of death that she even ignored the celestial dragons. You can't let go of such a good opportunity. You must give St. Charles a good lick and leave a deep impression on this guy. Puluoma immediately stood up and acted with an angry look on his face. Bold, His Highness in front of you is the Celestial Dragons, a noble of the world. How dare you despise the majesty of His Highness the Celestial Dragons? Why don't you kneel down and kowtow to welcome the noble Celestial Dragons, who are patrolling under the Charlos Temple? Does your kingdom want to bring accountability from the world government and cause catastrophe to the country? Click click click. But what happened next made him stunned, because when he said these words, not only did the general in front of him not change at all, but he looked at him with a sneer. Even the hundreds of Royal Army soldiers around him were the same, even after hearing his words. They all set up long guns and short cannons and aimed at them. What the hell? Aren't these damn generals and soldiers afraid of the world's noble Celestial Dragons? This was in front of the Celestial Dragons. How dare they raise their weapons against the Celestial Dragons? Seeing this, it wasn't just Puluoma who was confused. Behind him, King Kars and the princes and ministers of the two kingdoms were also confused. Not to mention St. Charles of Celestial Dragons, whose eyes widened with disbelief on his face. He's Celestial Dragons, don't I want to lose face? CP0 Felix couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth twice. Cursing secretly, the people in this kingdom are pig-brained. You even dare to offend and despise the majesty of the Celestial Dragons. How much do you want to bring about the destruction of the country? But by this time, Felix also knew it was time for him to appear. After all, St. Charles seems to be in trouble now. Then he must take action to eliminate all the dangerous existences against St. Charles. This is your duty as the bodyguard of Celestial Dragons. As for the world government fighters wearing black suits beside him, Felix didn't think so. These guys can protect St. Charles intact from the bullets and artillery fire in the sky. If something happens then, he will definitely be the unlucky person. Shave. Phylan stars. The first move is a killing move, since he dares to raise a destructive weapon against the Celestial Dragons. Then he didn't care whether the other party would actually take action, he would directly take the initiative and nip all unknown dangers in the cradle. That's the right way. Immediately afterwards, Felix did not stop his movements, raised his foot and threw out more than a dozen scattered Tempest Kick-Chop waves. His figure disappeared in a flash, and in the blink of an eye, he was in front of Dodd, the general of the Harbor Defense Force. There was no ripple in his eyes, but they were full of coldness. He raised his strong arm and punched Dodd hard, intending to beat Dodd half to death with one punch, and then ask the remaining soldiers to put down their weapons and surrender. However, the soldiers who were expected to scream after being hit by his Tempest Kick-Chop wave did not make any sound. Instead, there were several more roars of monsters. Felix's eyelids suddenly jumped wildly, and he had an ominous premonition. Bang! Sure enough, at the moment when he was about to hit the general in front of him with one punch, a tall, rugged figure exuding a terrifying aura stood in front of him. And his fist hit the opponent's abdomen hard. The terrifying burst of power was like hitting extremely hard steel, almost breaking the bones of his fist. How can it be? Felix let out an exclamation of disbelief. He used 90% of his strength to hit the enemy with this punch, but he almost broke his own bones. Hey, you scumbag, didn't you eat enough before going out? Don't you even have the strength to scratch your itch? Get away. The person who stood in front of General Dodd and blocked the attack was Yami from the 10th Espada. And when he felt the attack on his abdomen, he was so weak that he was not even worthy of being called a tickle. Yami immediately became angry. The thing that he hates most about Yami is that he is so weak that he still wants to jump in front of him and challenge his trash. Boom. The palm as big as a cattail leaf whipped out hard, so fast that Felix didn't even have a chance to react. And when Yami slapped him, he was compressed and rolled up by the terrifying force, and the howling sound of the wind was heard. Felix was slapped and sent flying away. Chapter 17 Felix from the Heart. 1/5 Please vote for flower evaluation. Get away. After raising his hand and slapping Felix away hard, Yami couldn't help but spit. It's really unlucky for such a weak guy to have to make a special trip. Boom. Compared to Yami's casual blow, Felix suffered a serious blow. He spit out blood and flew backwards, hitting the ground heavily, plowing out traces that were hundreds of meters long. In the end, Felix finally took advantage of the loss of strength and punched the ground hard, and then stopped. Ahem. Damn it, what a terrifying power. Standing up from the broken ground, Felix clutched his chest and wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth. There was a deep fear in his eyes. Looking at the huge figure 100 meters away, I suddenly felt troubled. Even though he had just used Iron Body at its limit, his defense was still broken. 3 ribs were directly broken inside the body. As for why not use Armament Hockey? There was no time at all. He could use Iron Body in that extreme situation. Thanks to decades of hard training from childhood to adulthood, as well as rich combat experience, the instinctive reaction has been achieved through repeated tempering. Otherwise, the damage caused this time may not be so simple. Felix now only felt a tingling sensation in his scalp. How could such a powerful monster exist in an ordinary kingdom? Even the elite Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters can stabilize the first-line strength level. But the other party just hit him casually, and he almost couldn't bear it. This damn Celestial Dragon's escort mission is too difficult. Oh, can you still stand up? What a tenacious scumbag. Seeing that Felix was still able to stand up after receiving his palm, Yami suddenly narrowed his eyes. The corners of his mouth were raised slightly, showing a ferocious expression. Obviously, Yami, who has just arrived in this world, is slightly interested and wants to relax his bones. For example, the punching bag in front of me looks pretty good. You useless thing. You can't even beat this. Come with me, I will make him my slave. After St. Charles calmed down for a while, he also came back to his senses. After scolding Felix angrily, he yelled at several other bodyguards in black suits beside him. After finishing speaking, he looked at Yami's huge and strong body and powerful strength, and instantly had the idea of taming him to become his slave. Such a big guy with muscles all over his body was so strong that he injured the idiot CP0 with one move. If you can subdue his foot slaves, you will surely be the envy of other celestial dragons in the deathly Holy Land. And the giant monsters next to them that just blocked the slashing wave for those lowly soldiers look great too. And the most important thing is that these are brand new races that have never been seen before. He must get these monsters, if he tamed these powerful new race monsters and brought them back to the Holy Land. St. Charles could already imagine the envious and jealous looks cast by the other celestial dragons around him. Just thinking about that scene, St. Charles felt a little dazed. That's enough. Under the Charos temple, if you are going to see my king, please come with me. Otherwise, then please go back and forth wherever you go. At this time, Dodd, who had been silent for a long time, stood up and stopped in front of the combatants in black suits. He knew that if he didn't stop it and allowed it to continue to develop, maybe it's not that simple. What's more, His Majesty the King is still waiting in the palace. HMPH. Who are you? How dare you do this? Poof. Seeing this, the First Minister of the Malice Kingdom also wanted to lick it in front of St. Charles and reprimand Dodd for his rude attitude. But he hasn't finished speaking yet. I don't know when they started, but they were surrounded by a large group of monsters with hideous and terrifying faces. As for him, his head was bitten off by a strong force that approached him. Ah, monster. Monster, escort, mom, help. He was surrounded by monsters that were completely black and exuded an extremely terrifying aura. Even Felix, a CP0 member, felt his scalp numb for a while. In an instant, everyone except the king's army of the Oganjana kingdom was frightened by the Manos Grande. Below the Temple of Charos, now is not the time to pursue this matter. Have you forgotten your original purpose? Moreover, that guy is difficult to deal with, and I am not completely sure of defeating him. For your safety, we still want to meet the king first. Maybe when the other party sees you, he will be so scared that he crawls and begs for mercy, and he might even give you all the good things, including these monsters and that big bald head. Seeing that the situation was not going well, Felix hurriedly stepped in front of St. Charles and offered respectful persuasion and flattery. Finally, St. Charles was fooled. After looking at the ferocious Yami and then at the Manos Grande monsters, St. Charles was also a little frightened. However, when I think about my identity, I feel like I can do it again. That's right. What are you doing earning all this money here now? As long as he makes the king of this kingdom surrender to him, then won't everything belong to him? That's right, he definitely didn't agree from the bottom of his heart because he was afraid of being eaten by these monsters. TCH, boring. Yami grinded his teeth and glanced at Felix with disdain. If His Majesty the King orders it, he can beat all the flies in front of him into meat patties within 30 seconds. Unable to let go of the killing, Yami lost interest. He casually opened a black cavity, stepped into it, and disappeared in front of everyone. Chapter 18. Kneel down before me. 2/5 please vote for flower evaluation. Facing Felix, who has completely lost his will to fight, Yami suddenly felt bored and chose to leave. He really couldn't arouse any interest in a group of little bugs that could be easily crushed to death. It's better to go back to His Majesty the King. I always feel like my strength is weakly increasing all the time by His Majesty the King's side. That feeling made him feel extremely refreshed and fascinated. The way Yami left made Felix's pupils shrink. Could such a powerful bald monster actually be a Paramecia space teleportation type user? St. Charlos. Not bad, it's actually the rare Paramecia shuttle fruit. Sure enough, he really likes this big bald head. He must be tamed and brought to the Holy Land to show off. In the end, a one-sided massacre that was about to break out finally subsided. However, when Charles Saint saw the crowded black car, his face suddenly became sad and gloomy. How could such a rubbish car be worthy of his noble status? Even the kings, princes, ministers and generals of the two kingdoms were very dissatisfied. Below the Temple of Charos, hold back, Felix silently took a step forward, raised his chin, and looked at the Schwants who were staring at him eagerly. Hundreds of giant hollows, powerful hollows, and ordinary hollows all exude a terrifying aura and a pressure that makes one feel like their soul is about to be crushed. In an instant, everyone was frightened. Charles Saint. Damn Felix, when you go back, you will fight in the slave arena for me, and then fight to the death. Obviously, St. Charles at this time was extremely dissatisfied with Felix's strength and attitude. I have already made a plan in my mind. When I go back, I must mention it to the 5 elders and kill this idiot. Sorry, you are not qualified to enter the Ogunjana kingdom. Just when other princes, ministers and generals wanted to accompany them, Dodd sneered and stopped them directly. Only St. Charlos, his bodyguards, and the 2 kings were allowed to board the chariot. You bastard! A dozen middle-aged and elderly people suddenly became anxious and wanted to argue with Dodd and vent their dissatisfaction. However, the next second, several powerful monsters with ferocious and terrifying faces came over. All these good guys who wanted to lick the stinky feet of St. Charlos have calmed down. This time, the 2 old kings also fell silent and did not say anything. After all, they had a bloody fight with the other kingdom before, and it is not an exaggeration to be treated like this now. If they hadn't followed St. Charlos, they would never have dared to come here and send him to his door automatically. After all, their 100,000 coalition troops were all annihilated by the other side. Now, they can only follow St. Charlos. In addition, they now deeply felt an extremely bad premonition. They now want to turn around and leave, go back to their own kingdom, and then immediately pack up their property and run away. They were afraid that the Ogunjana kingdom would send an army back and destroy them and their kingdom. But it's a pity that there is no turning back when you draw a bow. After sitting in a crowded car, after many twists and turns and long distances, it lasted 2 hours. Arrive in front of the huge palace moat unimpeded. It is obviously an ordinary palace wall that is only 20 meters high, but when you stand in front of it, you can experience it personally. But you can feel the majestic momentum coming towards you, as well as the rich historical atmosphere that has gone through countless vicissitudes of life. The 2 golden dragon stone sculptures on the walls on the left and right sides of the city gate suspension bridge add a bit of soul-stirring domineering momentum. It was as if the 2 majestic dragon heads carved on the city wall, with a section of dragon body protruding from them, would come to life in the next second. It seems like it will annihilate all the enemy troops who have offended the royal city. The green moat under the city wall, which is only a dozen meters wide, also seems like a terrifying water from the abyss. It exudes an unknown atmosphere. Looking at the rippling water in the moat, Felix instinctively felt an extremely disgusting feeling of resistance. This moat. Something is wrong. Felix squinted his eyes, but couldn't see clearly. This kingdom has a very strange origin. Damn it, why does it feel more spectacular than the one on the Holy Land? Looking at everything in front of him, Charles Luo Sheng was also a little dumbfounded. No, what's going on with your aura that's more overwhelming than the Holy Land? Damn it. When I turned around, I ordered someone to tear down this wall and transport it back to my territory. After passing the suspension bridge at the palace wall and city gate, everyone officially entered the palace. A few minutes later, everyone finally arrived at the king's hall in the palace. Saint Charles, who was full of anger, stepped directly into the hall. Looking up, the first thing he saw was Roy sitting on the throne, looking at him with a playful expression. In just a moment, Saint Charles's mood worsened, because the young man on the throne is too handsome and heroic. Even Saint Charles, who thought he was very handsome, couldn't help but feel jealous at this time. Before he could think of anything else, he glanced at it. Soon, he saw a woman with a graceful figure wearing a conservative outfit. A beautiful, aloof woman with blonde hair, blue eyes, and wheat-colored skin. There is another one, also with a proud figure and long crimson hair. The dashing and handsome royal sister is a great beauty. And it was after Roy's suggestion that these two women changed their somewhat revealing outfits into more conservative Kaiwanai Palace uniforms, as conservative as Nellie's. But Haribel still can't hide her proud figure. There's also the fairy queen Urza wearing a half-armor skirt. Wow, what a beautiful beauty, I want it. Hey, you guy, how dare you not kneel before me when you see this saint? Dedicate those two beauties to me, and I will allow you to become my slave. From now on, you are the slave of the celestial dragons. Really? Symptoms of cerebral fluid deficiency unique to celestial dragons appeared. They had just met for the first time, and the thing that Felix expected and least wanted to see actually happened. Felix really wanted to kill this stupid pig in person at this moment because he couldn't suppress his desire. Does this stupid pig really think that no one in the world dares to take action against the celestial dragons? In the Valley of Gods incident decades ago, there was an evil pirate who wanted to become the king of the world, and he slaughtered all the celestial dragons in the Valley of Gods. In addition, every few years, there are examples of things happening to celestial dragons. Moreover, he also saw the bald head with a terrifying aura not long ago. At this time, he was standing on one side of the two queues in the main hall. In fact, the people beside him also seemed to have extremely terrifying auras. As soon as celestial dragons spoke, Felix's heart suddenly went cold. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the entire hall dropped to freezing point. An oppressive, heavy and terrifying pressure suddenly came. Sure enough, he is a bedbug that can never change from eating shit. Kneel down for me. On the throne, Roy had cold eyes and thin lips. A terrifying coercion suddenly descended. Chapter 19 Roy's Conqueror's Hockey. Charles is stunned. 3/5 please vote for flower evaluation. When the terrifying Ryotsu combined with Conqueror's Hockey arrives. Thump. 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 In the blink of an eye, under the pressure that enveloped the entire hall, all the saints of Charos felt as if they were struck by lightning. Without any surprise, the saints of Charos all knelt down. In an instant, he knelt down on the ground, his cheek pressed against the red carpet in the hall. Even Felix was in the same situation. When he was caught off guard, he was under the double pressure of two forces. He knelt down with a thud, his face filled with horror. It turns out that the man sitting on the throne is the strongest existence? No wonder, only a king with such terrifying strength can control the many monsters under his command, right? Looking at the suppressed group of people, Haribel and Urza looked a little unhappy before they slowed down their recovery. However, when he looked at St. Charles, his eyes were full of coldness. Damn. Bastard. Hurry up, stop. How dare you offend? The great descendants of God, celestial dragons. You want to attract the Marine Admiral? Do you want to be destroyed? Compared to Felix, who was terrified, St. Charles obviously didn't realize the seriousness of the matter. He was still using his status as celestial dragons to give Roy orders arrogantly. St. Charles absolutely didn't believe that he had already made his identity so clear and the stakes clearly stated. The other party still dares to attack him. Hearing this, the expressions of everyone present suddenly change. Roy still maintains an indifferent attitude, but Ulquiorra and others will look at the dead people and look at St. Charlos. Yami had already made a fist and pressed the bones loudly. Idiot! Felix is numb. Does this damn idiot really have no brain? From the moment the other party dared to take action at the harbor terminal, they should have understood the seriousness of the matter. Now faced with such a situation, he still dares to say this. Now it seems that I can only stand up and see how long I can hold on, waiting for the arrival of Marine Admiral. That's right, as early as after the incident at the harbor terminal, Felix took the opportunity to contact Naval Headquarters. Well aware of the arrogant and domineering nature of the Celestial Dragons, Felix knew with his toes that they might be in trouble next. Now that I think about it, I'm lucky to be smart. Kill him. I don't want to see this stupid pig bug again. Waving his hand, Roy said coldly. He was quite surprised that St. Charles, a bug, could survive Ryotsu and Conqueror's Haki without losing his will. However, this is also a situation under his intentional control, otherwise he would really get serious. Facing the double impact of Ryotsu and Conqueror's Haki, St. Charlos will definitely die. No, King Maris and King Guder beside him were already shocked to death by the force of the impact. Wait. You're honorable. After hearing these cold and decisive words, Felix was instantly panicked. Exploding all his strength, his figure disappeared in a flash, and he was about to rush in front of St. Charlos. However, the next moment, he was knocked out by a terrifying figure. Boom. Pooh. The terrifying force directly knocked him away. He flew backwards at a faster speed and landed heavily on the building outside the hall. Immediately afterwards, the figure that blasted Felix away suddenly arrived in front of St. Charles. The figure appeared so fast that it formed an afterimage that gathered together, and then turned into a blue-gray monster with a height of 3 meters. Why are you wearing a hood? Let me help you with your boredom. The revealed monster grinned and shook its long tail spine. He raised his blue-white claws and knocked on the hood of St. Charlos, who was now frightened to pee. Then, pinch it gently with 2 fingers. Bang! The hood was broken, and the head of St. Charlos was the same. Subsequently, bang! As the headless body of St. Charles fell to the ground, almost everyone was shocked. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't control the intensity well. However, this can be considered to help you breathe, right? Hee hee hee. The huge blue-gray monster tilted its head, as if wondering why this guy was crushed to death by him all at once. Oh, did you do it on purpose? That's okay. And this blue-gray monster is none other than the Ajukas mid-level Manos Grande, Mortises. TCH, were you preempted? Seeing this, Yami gave a cry of displeasure. Originally, he wanted to take advantage of His Majesty the King's order and kill the reptile. Unexpectedly, I was overtaken by Ajukas Manos Grande. Really killed. Felix was completely stunned, and several world government combatants lying on the ground behind him were also stunned. Then, there was only one thought in my mind. Nima, things are getting serious. A Celestial Dragons was killed under their protection. Celestial Dragons Charlos Saint was killed. No, he was crushed to death by a monster. Not only was CP0 Felix's face turned pale, he was extremely ugly. The combat bodyguards in black suits were so frightened that they simply fell to the ground and fainted. In addition, the ministers of the Oganjana Kingdom who have not yet realized the true strength of Ulquiorra and others are also shocked and horrified at this time. His Majesty the King actually gave a direct order to kill the Celestial Dragons St. Charlos. Chapter 20 Admiral Kizaru arrives. 4/5 please vote for flower evaluation. A few hours ago. Marlene Vando, Naval Headquarters. What? A suspected admiral-level superpower. Okay, I understand. Don't offend each other, wait until the support here arrives. I will contact you immediately and send the nearest admiral there. After a while, he hung up this special call. Sengoku rubbed his temples and couldn't help but feel a headache. These damn Celestial Dragons are causing trouble again. And it seems that this time, it hit a brick wall. A super strong man who can injure a CP0 member who is as strong as Naval Headquarters, the elite Vice Admiral, with just one blow. This is not a proper Admiral level top combat power. How can it still be an elite Vice Admiral level powerhouse? Now he is not afraid that the enemy is too powerful, but he is afraid that the celestial dragons will be stupid again, anger the enemy, and die too quickly. There is no big problem if other things happen to celestial dragons, except that they are afraid of irritating people, and they will kill them all at once. The death of celestial dragons is a huge event that shocked the world. Can't these damn bastards restrain themselves a little? They always cause me so much trouble. These damn celestial dragons. If naval headquarters did not need to rely on the world government, it would allocate at least tens of billions of dollars every year to maintain the operation of naval headquarters. Sengoku is really too lazy to pay attention to these so-called celestial dragons. Just let them find their own way to death. But it's a pity that there are millions of Marines around the world, as well as various construction, research and manufacturing, and Marines' wages and all aspects. They all need funding from the world government to maintain operations. Unless naval headquarters gets rid of its military spending dilemma, it will always be eaten up by the world government. Not to mention, there are many people from the world government faction within Marine. Even though he is called the resourceful general, there is nothing he can do about it. Hey, shaking his head and sighing helplessly, Sengoku immediately started to contact him again. 2 minutes later, I found out who was the admiral closest to the Ogunjana kingdom. Sengoku got in touch immediately. Bulu Bulu. Bulu Bulu. On a certain island. Just after chasing and arresting a group of big pirates from New World. Perusalino just wanted to go back to the cabin to make a cup of coffee and rest comfortably for a while. As a result, a phone bug sound suddenly sounded in the pocket of his clothes. Perusalino frowned slightly. This was his personal phone bug for emergencies, if it wasn't something very important. Under normal circumstances, no one would dare to call casually. When he thought of this, Perusalino didn't hesitate and took it out immediately. Moxie Moxie, I am Kizaru. Is this the attack on the celestial dragons again? Really, what kind of guy dares to provoke the celestial dragons? It's really scary. After listening to the meaning conveyed by Marshal Sengoku in the phone bug, Perusalino raised his eyebrows and exclaimed in surprise with a somewhat exaggerated tone. However, anyone who is familiar with him knows that this is just Perusalino's usual modalities. The more meaningful part is that he is just teasing. The kingdom of Ogunjana? I have an impression that if you start from here and drive at full speed, you will be there in about an hour. Hi, got it, I'll be there in about an hour. Understood, I will arrive as quickly as possible. Click. After hanging up the phone, Perusalino didn't change his slanted expression, but his eyes were dark. But there was still a hint of disgust. After a few words with the rear admiral on the warship, Perusalino immediately turned into countless light particles, and then rushed to the Ogunjana kingdom as quickly as possible. Inside the king's palace, looking at the headless body of St. Charlos, all the ministers and generals had expressions of shock, horror on their faces. As we all know, as long as the celestial dragons are attacked, they will soon be wanted by the world government and naval headquarters. Moreover, it was the kind of pursuit and arrest where Marine Admiral was directly dispatched. In other words, their Ogunjana kingdom is in big trouble. In the near future, a fleet led by Marine Admiral will come over to find the murderer of the celestial dragons. It may even destroy the entire Okugana kingdom. If you say that the ministers are not panicking at this moment, then you are crazy. But at this moment, the death of St. Charlos of celestial dragons was a foregone conclusion, and it was too late for them to say anything. The ministers are also confused. His Majesty the King's order to kill the celestial dragons St. Charlos was too abrupt. The guy who executed the order was so fast that he couldn't even see the afterimage. They didn't even have a chance to stop him, and the ministers were desperate and helpless. Your Majesty the King, what should we do now that things have come to this? Hey, Your Majesty the King, otherwise you should leave the kingdom with the Espada Legion. Yes, Your Majesty the King, please take all the treasures in the treasure house and leave, even if the Ogunjana kingdom is destroyed. As long as you are alive, you still have a chance to rebuild your country. Obviously, the ministers did not see the true strength of Ulquiorra and others. Now I am very worried that after the world government learns about the killing of the celestial dragons, it will send Marine Admiral to lead a fleet to destroy the Ogunjana kingdom. So, one after another began to persuade. I want Roy to take all the treasures of the Ogunjana kingdom and leave the kingdom to seek another chance to rise. Boom. But, just when Roy was about to speak, Roy suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky in the distance outside the hall. The next moment, a golden light instantly spanned a distance of several thousand meters. A figure glowing with golden light flashed over and directly broke through the dome of the king's hall. The top ceiling of the dome was broken open and appeared in front of everyone. What a powerful aura, it's really scary. Are you late, sir? Marine Admiral Kizaru Perusalino arrives.